appear to be. I hope so. And we're recording too.
Okay, we're going to be, we're back from closed session here. We have no formal action pursuant to closed session. So we're going to move on to number 7, open the meeting up for public comments. And I'll read the statement here. The council's intention is to preserve the level of respect, courtesy, and civility required to successfully conduct the public's business. In this regard, the council should be addressed during public participation as a collective body and not individual members. In order to respect the speaker's time, council members will not engage in a dialogue or debate with the speaker. However, council members should feel free to ask the speaker a question or questions once recognized by the council president for purpose of clarifications. Council members can offer comments on the speaker's remarks once the speaker has concluded his or her comments in their allotted 5-minute time frame. So, got a lot of people here tonight. I'm sure we'll see a lot of public comments. Who wants to come up first? All righty, Marty, come on up.
Marty Graflinger, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Good evening, Mayor. Well, the mayor's not here. Good evening, Town Council members and residents. I am Marty Graflinger, and I'm president of the BMIA. I'm here tonight to discuss the importance of our Clean Communities program and reflect on the progress we've made over the years. I recently came across an article from April 10, 1974, titled "Residents Urged to Fight Litter." This letter, written by the Browns Mills Improvement Association's Cleanup Committee, was an early call to action for our community. It stressed the significance of keeping our surroundings clean and emphasized individual responsibility for litter. It also mentioned the no litter ordinance in Pemberton Township, highlighting a collective effort needed back then. Fast forward to 1984, we had Shay Kentucky, then Vice President of the BMIA, promoting the Clean Township program. Shay organized community cleanups that engaged local groups, including Brownie Troop 381 and Boy Scout Troop 138. Their successful efforts laid the groundwork for what we have today, a robust Clean Communities program that conducts 8 cleanups a year. Before Clean Communities got off the ground at the township level, the BMIA, Lake Valley Civic Association, Country Lakes Community Association, Pole Bridge Association, and Presidential Lake Civic Association did all the heavy lifting, 100% by volunteers. Their dedication and hard work established the foundation for our ongoing commitment to keeping the community clean. We have made significant strides since those early days. I remember a time when dog waste was a common sight, sitting on the ground and turning white. Kids had to navigate the dodgeball challenge of jumping over it on their way to school, hoping not to step in it. Thankfully, that mindset has changed. It's something that we can be proud of. Nowadays, we have dog waste stations at our parks, encouraging responsible pet ownership and making our community cleaner and safer. However, maintaining a clean community is a shared responsibility. If we want to improve the perception of Browns Mills, we must all work together, and I urge everyone to take ownership of the environment. This Saturday presents an excellent opportunity to pitch in at the Country Lakes cleanup. Join us at the Country Lakes Fire Department at 8 a.m. for a morning of service. Please remember to sign in on the BMIA clipboard when you arrive. It's a great way to connect with your neighbors, and there will be free pizza and soda afterwards. I'd also like to highlight some upcoming events. This Sunday, we will host Coffee with a Cop featuring Chief of Police Jonathan Glass, who will address community questions and concerns. Everyone is welcome, and you don't have to be a member to attend, although membership is just $15 per family per year, very low price. Looking ahead, we have an open mic event on April 4th, and our AMPed event on April 27th will celebrate local talent with art, music, poetry, and dance. If you're interested in participating, please contact Tony Mealy at 609-744-9938. In May, mark your calendars for a paint party with Debbie King on May 2nd and a yard sale on May 25th where members can get a free table to sell items from their spring cleaning at their homes. Finally, we'll have a 50 sock hop on June 6th, followed by our graduation luncheon on June 22nd to celebrate our members' graduating children and grandchildren with monetary gifts. If you have a graduate, please email me at bmia.org@gmail.com for more details. Thank you for your time tonight, and let's keep working together to ensure Browns Mills remains a beautiful place for all, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Marty.
Marie Reynolds, 46 Horizon Road, Browns Mills. I'm very grateful that we have a resolution on the agenda tonight, Resolution 114, to void Resolution 260, 2023, regarding the Sun Bank, or as we know it, Sycamore Hall. But I think it's important because I don't think the people understand how strange this whole transaction has been with that building, and how I don't think there's a greater understanding of how it came about. Sometime before July 24th of 2023, the company that ended up buying Sycamore Hall met with the mayor, the former BA, and the director of community development. On July 24th, 2023, they wrote a letter to those three same parties requesting to purchase with a detailed proposal. Pre-approved plans are in parentheses because that was in the letter that was written. Pre-approved plans at that time, they were going to do 3 apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the building, and a tavern lounge and cafe eatery on the 1st floor. The next month, August 16th, 2023, they came before the council and they made a grand presentation with great graphics about this. Now it had changed into a beer garden. At some point, it changed into 4 apartments, and there was an amendment done to the Redevelopment Act to allow that. But now it was going to be a beer garden. On August 16th, when they made that presentation, the very same night, Resolution 260, 2023, the one that you're voting tonight, which hopefully will pass. It cited the potential owner as a company experienced in rehabilitating buildings and restoring them to use. During that presentation, which was widely publicized, the presenters were asked about their experience in doing this kind of thing, and one of the main presenters said, well, he used to own a luncheonette, so I don't know how well they were vetted to begin with. That passed the same night. On October 3rd, just a few months later, the contract was signed. They deposited $25,000 towards the property. On March 26th, and it's really important to note, too, that in the presentation and in the later publications, they were very precise in saying that this would be a cash purchase, that there was no need to mortgage this property, that they were well aware of, that there would be they estimated the renovation costs at $250,000, and they had to cash to sustain that. On October 3rd, the contract was signed. They had the $25,000 deposit. On March 26th, they had settlement. $248,166 was wired to the current fund. The only signer on the contract was Mayor Jack Tompkins on behalf of the township. He was the seller. He was the only signer on the contract. $248,166 was wired to current funds. On April 5th, 2024, 2 second mortgages were recorded. One for $480,000 and the other for $270,000, for a total of $750,000 mortgage, all in the name of a long-standing local charity in this town. It's been a very strange transaction. None of the conditions have been met that were in that contract. So if you void the redevelopment contract with them, you have to void the seller. You have to void the sale. I mean, I don't know how, it's very specific. The contract says sale and redevelopment. It doesn't just say redevelopment. They weren't just named the conditional redeveloper for that property. They were sold that property. It's a property for sale. There were other contingencies in there. They got contingent approval to use the parking spaces that are in the Veterans Park area. That was made part of the proposal, that they were conditioned, that they were able to use those when they got up and running as a business. Did you void that part? Now, is that void or is that not void? You know, I don't know how you can do part of it. I don't know how you can, I'm glad that you're voiding this resolution. I think it's a first step, but I think it's going to lead to further demise. They settled on October 3rd, March 26th of 2024. Nothing has been done to that building. The roof is leaking. We've had a horrible winter, and I pray every time I go by it that it's not falling in on itself. Nothing has been done, and part of that is our fault. Part of that is the township's fault. We bought it in 2019. We did nothing. We did nothing to secure it. We didn't fix the leaking roof. So, you know, my concerns are still there. I'm happy that you're moving towards something, but I don't know what's going to happen if you just say, okay, you can't build on it till you, they had no approval by the planning board. They did not meet one condition of that contract for this whole 2-year period. And nobody held them to it. Nobody held them to it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Mr. Costa.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I don't know about you guys, but my mood's in a pretty good mood right now because that nice officer over there gave me one of his baseball cards. So I just need to meet the other 70 officers we have to collect the whole set. 70. Oh, man. I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you for putting the Resolution 114, 2025 on there. I think that we need to definitely pass that, so if you could do that, I would definitely suggest that. I just wanted to also backtrack a bit and say that from Resolution 104 through 106, I just want to ask, what are we amending in the budget? You know, are we, moving money around to different parts of a project within these 3 different different sectors, or are we extending the budget or anything? I'm sure, budget has to do with money, something. I would say yes to 107. I just have one question. How much are we refunding for the totally disabled veteran? 108, I would say yes. 109, definitely yes, because the opioid companies they're liable for what they have done to the entire country, and I think that we need to have our fair share of what they are owed for through the lawsuits. Michael Thompson, I've been told he's a really good guy, so I guess, sure, I would give my consent as well. For the towing, for Resolution 111, does anybody know what towing firm we're going to be going with? You can answer that after. Fine. And I also just wanted to ask, since the mayor's going away for April, I've heard that he wants to appoint the Public Works Director as the temporary mayor for the month. Does that have to go through any of you guys for consent, or is he allowed to make that appointment?
It does not. It's his decision.
Oh.
He can do this.
And that's it. Thank you. Look forward to that.
I can help him out with the towing if you'd like, sir.
Yeah, you want me to take the budget ones first? And then.
Sure, go right ahead.
So Alex, your first question is 104 through 106.
Yeah.
This is temporarily extending or the budgets. Right now, we don't have a firm budget. Council didn't approve one for this year.
Right.
So this is pretty much standard practice as we wait for a budget. Obviously, those funds have to be replenished in order to continue operating the township.
Right.
So there's nothing going into, any kind of crazy stuff except day-to-day operations and keeping us going. So that's 104 through 106. That's why they're usually approved until we get
Okay.
to the actual budget.
Do we have a time frame of when we're going to be doing the budget?
I wish I could tell you that. I know CFO, Ms. Pennywell might have an answer, but I don't think she does. But we'll ask. Candace, do you know when the budget is going to be prepared for council?
So the mayor and I would like to go over it one more time. We're pushing it to the beginning of next week so that Michelle can be in the meeting with us to go over that budget one last time before sending it over to you.
Okay,
And then I believe we'll be having a special meeting.
yeah, we'll have a couple special, well, council will have a couple special meetings, probably like we did last year, Alex.
Yeah.
Where we'll be able to kind of like, we'll schedule some special budget meetings and just talk straight budget, which there's going to be a lot of talks this year, so.
I understand, loud and
Okay.
clear.
Mr. Doyle, Councilman Doyle, you can hit the.
Yeah, Alex, you had asked about the towing. We don't settle on one towing company. What happens is you have to submit a request to be on our list. Chief of Police goes out, as well as some of his delegated members. They inspect the properties. There's numerous requirements for safety, security, everything. Have to have a lot. You can't just go buy a tow truck and all of a sudden start towing for Pemberton Township. It doesn't work that way. We have a lot of heavy-duty equipment that comes through this town, could be involved in an accident. So the companies that are here don't necessarily have to own that equipment, but they have to have a contract with a heavy-duty wrecking company. The only name I can think of off the top of my head would be like Flynn's with those giant wreckers to handle loaded dump trucks, tractor trailers, things like that. So the towing companies within town that we utilize have to at least have the capability of contacting somebody under contract and prove to the chief of police, as well as the township, that they have those contracts in place so they can handle anything at any given time. And then we settle on, I believe it was 4. There's 4 local contractors in town that are going to be up for consideration and given the bid.
All right, well, thank you for your explanation, and,
And with, you had the question on 107.
oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure the exact amount, and I don't think we could say that publicly anyway, could we? You could say, yeah. I think it was like $1,700 or something, right? It wasn't a lot. But the reason why I want to address this, there's been some chatter that Mr. Harper and I are anti-veteran and we're trying to do away with the exemption, which is bullshit.
Watch your mouth.
I did that once before at another meeting. Which is not true. I'm a veteran, so if I'm anti-veteran, then I have bigger issues. So what Mr. Harper and I are working on is, in Trenton right now, there is a bill that was introduced, and actually they're meeting on it tomorrow, to reimburse municipalities for that exemption. So right now, we don't get reimbursed for the 100% property exemption that our veterans receive, 100% disabled veterans receive. But there is a bill that was introduced from the Assembly in Trenton. Hopefully that'll pass, because then the reimbursement that they're requesting is 102% back to the municipalities. And Pemberton and Willingboro are the 2 biggest that benefit from that exemption. So just want to be clear that Mr. Harper and I aren't anti-veteran. We're not. I think it's a great benefit to have, but the state should reimburse us, and hopefully they'll pass that bill.
Would you be able to send me the bill number when you have a chance?
Yeah, I'll forward it to you after the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Hi, good evening. My name is Justine Miller. I live at 311 Shoshone Trail. I have Girl Scout Troop 21072. I haven't been here for a few meetings because we had a terrible tragedy in our troop. One of the girls just recently lost her mother in a tragic accident. And I put it out there to the community that we needed some support to help her get through financially, and I just wanted to publicly thank everybody. They really came through for this girl. We were able to pay off her trip. They graduate next year, so I have 11th graders that most of them started as kindergarten, so they've been on this journey for a very long time. Really good group of girls. But we're supposed to be going to Iceland and Switzerland. That's what they had voted on as their final trip together. And the community came together, and we had enough money to pay off her trip. Extra money that's going to go in her senior account at school for prom, for graduation, and for her senior trip, if she'd like to go on that. But also there was other funds set aside for just the family, for a food train to help them with bills, because they went from a 2-income family now to a 1-income family. And they did adopt 2 additional, a niece and a nephew from another family. So there's 4 children under this one roof. But I am extremely thankful of the support of the entire community for helping her. She is a great girl that just this horrible thing happened. But also moving forward, we just finished with cookie season. Also, thank you for the support. The girls did great from little to big. Many of them met their goals. And in the spring, we're going to be doing like a Easter egg your yard. So I'm going to be putting out some flyers if anyone is interested. The girls will come out for a small fee and hide Easter eggs for your children or whoever wants to find them in the morning. It's a fundraiser, again, to support the troop for money for their earning of badges and for their trip. But the community has been great, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you. It was just a really terrible thing that happened.
Justine, are you still taking donations?
I am. Like I said, we did cover her trip with the troop, but yes, any donations that I'm currently still receiving, I'm going to put in her account at school for yearbook, for senior trip, for prom, for all of those things next year that might be difficult for her. And if there is an excess in that, she will get that money back for her to go to college or whatever have you. So the money will never be wasted. It's all going, I'm making sure it's all going straight to that family. It was tragic. It wasn't anything expected. It happened in the middle of the night, and it was just awful.
Can't even imagine. So if somebody wants to make a donation with a check, who would they make the check out to?
They can make it out to my troop.
Okay.
I can,
At
just
21072?
troop 21072. It will go into our troop business account, which I have to account for with council. And that money will go directly to the family. Thank you.
Pat Guthrie, 317 Birmingham Road. Good evening, council members.
Good evening, Mrs. Guthrie.
I was listening to the presentation. I caught this 79 house requirement. We pretty much got that covered for the affordable housing. And then they were saying that there was like half of those, with the funds, half of the money goes to fixing up existing homes for people that are in, I guess, financial need, and then half of the money goes to build as far as the affordable housing. Did I catch that right? Okay, so I must have totally missed something. Could you explain to me how that works as far as the fixer-uppers and the building?
Yeah, is that your only question, Pat, tonight? or
No,
you-
so that's
Okay.
one of them.
Okay.
And then I was wondering the date, because I heard June. I wasn't sure if it has to be everything's got to be in place by June of '25. The next question I had, I believe you guys already answered it for 104, 105, and 106. Basically, it's just a temporary amendment for day-to-day operations until the budget goes through. It's not like we're doing any kind of increase. That's the way I understood it. The 114, I hope that you guys do vote to void this resolution with, for Sunbank. I think everything should be voided with Sunbank, and hopefully we can get that property back and use it for something beautiful for the community. And then I'm a little confused by 113, appoint ARH. I didn't think we were working with ARH anymore. So to appoint an engineer as a special project engineer, I was just kind of wondering about that. And those are my questions.
Cool. I'll jump on and with, probably with Ro's help here, jump on the funds for the account. So there's, I'll let the expert, because since we have the experts here tonight, I'm gonna put her on the spot and kind of let her explain it, so that way there you get the right explanation, Pat, so that way there nothing's missed. But the 1.4 that we're speaking of, Ro, right, that's already in the housing account, right?
That's correct.
And that's the money that can be utilized to ultimately help out people that are in need of rebuilding their house if they qualify. Is that correct, Ms. Flaherty?
That's correct. They have to meet the standards of low-income or moderate-income families. So there is a standard you have to meet in order to qualify for the rehabilitation program.
And I believe it might be up to 10,000 per home?
Yes, we're looking at doing 79 homes at $10,000 apiece. We may be able to do more depending on what kind of work we're doing per house.
My recollection is, and Roe, you tell me, the $10,000 loan is secured by a mortgage, but after 10 years, if you're still there, the mortgage goes away.
That's really great because Browns Mills, a lot of residents can use that. And is that something that has to be in the works or registered by this June date?
So the June date is that we have to have a spending plan in place, per the state of New Jersey. That's what Mark's working on, but this will be part of it. And we will have this program up and running way before that.
So when can people start putting their applications in? Because I'm quite sure there's a lot of them out there that are just waiting to be given the go-ahead.
So we would like to do a full marketing rollout, and get this message out, because last year, it was one of the things I had a problem with the company that we were using. I didn't feel as though that information got out to the public. We would like to do a full rollout, but we will have it on the website. So if anybody is, listening or watching, please make sure that you're looking for, news information right on the township website, because we're hoping like beginning of May, end of April.
Yeah, and Mrs. Guthrie, just to climb on the back of that, this subcommittee was talking about several different ways and aspects that we're going to get that out to the community. So the book being one, obviously, we're going to need to explain that book. So I know we've gotten in touch with the school system, and I believe we're going to try to get in a full kind of, Channel 14, I still call it Channel 14, I'm sorry, but explanation on Channel 14 at the school, where maybe that, members of that subcommittee, along with Ms. Flaherty, would be able to explain what's in the book, so everybody can actually see that, and potentially do something on, the YouTube Live situation and kind of get that video out there for everybody as well. So we're 100% transparent with the way that this is going to work. And that way there, if people do call the municipality every day and say, hey, where's this money? Where can I get? Hey, go right on the YouTube video or go right on this site. Come in, grab a book. We're more than happy to share the information for it with you. If you qualify, here it is. Here's the explanation. If you need more clarification, let us know. We'll help you out.
I think this is a wonderful thing that the township is doing for a lot of people that are in need. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And it's nice to have it recorded, and anyone listening to the YouTube can see what you guys are doing too. So the other two would be, the Sun Bank, that's just a hopeful thing, and the ARH Engineering.
Mr. President, I'll take that one, all right? So you are correct, we're trying to get away from ARH, and we are. But there are 3 projects that they're too deep into right now. If we were to pull them off it, we'd have to start all over again at an additional cost with another engineering firm. So this resolution, we're gonna hopefully amend just to include the 3 projects that they have to complete. They're not gonna be the special project engineer across the board, just to complete the 3 projects that they're currently involved with.
Thank you very much. And Matt, I have a coworker that has a terrible crush on you.
Is she good looking?
She told me every time I leave the office, she tells me to make sure I say hello.
Mr. President, if I could, we've now had a few people make a comment about the Sun Bank. I've been told, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm being told that there is a for sale sign up in front of that bank.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen it
Schneider
yet, but-
Realty for sale.
And second of all, how nice is it for the public? This is something we've been pushing for, that when you have a question, we have the professionals here from the town. These three young ladies here are very, very capable to sit here and directly answer your questions. You don't have a mayor or administrator telling you, I'll get back to you in a couple days when I get that answer. This is what we've been pushing for, and it's really nice to have it here tonight.
Excellent. Anybody else? Dr. Thomas is coming up here. Mark.
Mark Thomas, 35 Northwoods Road in New Lisbon. Mr. Rems's presentation, if I understand correctly, is that for the prospective affordable housing units, which equaled 79, that Brownswoods would provide 60 of those for future need.
Correct.
Now, he said then that 24 to 26 could come from Greenberg. But then in looking at places like Sunbury Village, and I didn't quite get this because I don't know what kind of an easement he was talking about. Apparently, there needs to be an easement appended to the deed on the places where they would receive the funding.
Deed restriction.
Deed restriction, and the restriction would state,
That, it has to be for affordable housing purposes for 30
Okay.
years. So
Okay.
if that person were to sell it, they have to sell it to someone who is still, again, income eligible, and that gets resolved through
Okay.
through the CD director's office, and they figure that out.
okay. Now, is there a time restriction on how long does it take for there to be an easement put on? And would that process be able to be put in place before, in order for it to count as a one of those? Because what I'm thinking of is I don't think that we should strap Greenberg with these.
Well,
No, I'm just saying that you could meet your requirement without doing it at Greenberg, correct?
Yes and no. I mean, from what I understand, Mark, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't be doing, is this like, you got a couple other questions to go, or is this like your main topic here is the affordable housing?
Today, there's one minor thing.
Okay.
Otherwise.
So, from what I understand, speaking with Mr. Remsa, right, because I speak with him quite often, and we went around and we identified, through the subcommittee, we identified, okay, well, you got a big block chunk of houses or apartments here, right? And you got another big chunk here, you got another big chunk there, right? So we're banking on the Greenberg Farm houses right now because that satisfies the state requirement as it sits,
Yeah.
right? Even though they're not built.
Okay.
Okay, it's easier to go after those big chunks than it is to go after individual locations, right? Because you're getting credit for certain things, especially with the 55-plus community, right? You're getting a little bit of extra, so instead of 24, we're getting 26.
Okay.
Right? So with Brownswoods Apartments, we're getting to 60 there. That's a huge win, right? So that's why we're doing that. There's obviously, like Councilman Dewey pointed out, the Golden Pines or Golden Terrace, right? So there's some in there, right? That would count for that, but we don't need to necessarily utilize that because we only need 79, right? So if we bank, let's say we bank, like Mark was saying, we're up to 86 units right now. We're exceeding the threshold. Let's just call even math by 10 units, right? Then we can carry over some of the things that we may not have utilized this time around. We might be able to utilize next time around. Don't know,
Okay,
right?
all right,
Okay.
thank you. Any more news on the college property?
No, but the only thing I will say about the college property is this, all right? So obviously they're utilizing that, that acreage for open space swap in Mount Laurel, we all know that.
Right.
However, in speaking with the township planner, and Mr. Remsa, we're gonna have to make a move on that piece of property sooner than later in order to identify what zoning we wanna put that into, okay? So there's still developable property there.
No, I know.
So what we, I think, with the help of the community development director and Mr. Remsa is, hey, we need to get on this now, right? So we control that, we're in the driver's seat, and come up with a development plan for that piece of property and go, hey, look, this is, if anybody wants to come in here, it might be owned by the county, but you're going to follow the township's redevelopment plan. So that's going to be something that's going to have to be done sooner, I think, than later, because there is going to be some acreage there that's going to be able to be developed, I would assume.
Do you know what the acreage will be?
I do not. I don't have an actual number, nor would I give it if I didn't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is that one of my avocations is natural history and birds. And I have the best birding ears in the township, I think. That's not a brag, that's just a fact. But anyway, what I'm saying is that if anybody ever has a question about birds, they can always get in touch with me. I'm easily found. And the other thing that I'm happy to do is to lead tours, birding tours, or nature walks for any group who would like. I'm a little bit footloose. So that's all I want to say, and I'm grateful that you're all here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Mrs. Skipper?
Thank you, Mr. Ward. I plan on speaking tonight. I do have a question first before my statement. The $10,000 that's going to be given, I think, Rosemary, this is yours. Hi. The $10,000 that's going to be given to each person, I think it's wonderful. Is it going to be followed up to make sure that the work is done, and who will be overseeing the actual construction of that work? That we want to make sure that it's being spent properly and not just pocketed and 10 years it's washed away.
Yeah.
So in the RFP that I drafted today, it says that all contractors are responsible to get the permits and to obtain the
good.
CA or the CO when the job is done. They can't get payment from me until they bring that information to me. So we're
I knew
we're
you'd
make
have a right
sure.
answer. Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to follow up a couple things. You said that there's a for sale sign in front of One Clubhouse Drive, I understand, and it's Schneider Realty. I sure hope the Township Council takes that building back before that is allowed to be sold by them. If you do some background work, there is a Calvin Bushrod that has his name, everything, all over every one of those contracts. And he works for Schneider Realty. It all started with the house that was sold in Country Lakes. They purchased for $240,000 or $225,000, I think it was. 260? Oh, I was way off, wasn't I? 260. And less than a year later, it was sold for $580-some thousand. Now, I don't know about how many of you know that many houses in Country Lakes had sold and made that kind of profit in less than a year. At that time, that's when the bank was purchased. Also, I mean, some of the things Marie said, there's a lot more detail in that. As far as the loan that was secured, no money ever exchanged hands with that nonprofit. And it's a shame. We actually went and talked to the gentleman. So there's a lot of things that are going on. I really hope you pull that bank back and get that back to where it should be. And that's in the hands of Pemberton Township and the residents to what it's supposed to be and what it was originally drawn for. If I'm not mistaken, that road's supposed to be cut off and it's supposed to go all the way out to the lake. Am I correct? And made into a beautiful place for the residents. I just hope you really look at that and really vet these people. It's too late now, though. Take the bank back. Thank you.
With that being listed for sale, Mr. Ward, do we know what Snyder's has on there for the listing?
We just looked it up. It's not any place that we see online.
No?
No, it's not posted,
Yeah,
either
the sign
through
only went
Schneider.
up after 2 o'clock today, so.
It went up after 2?
Yeah, I was by there just before 2, and it wasn't up, and it was up when I came to the meeting.
Because it's like the other bank that's in town, too, that was listed as an auction, and it wasn't an auction. I had looked into it. So there's just a lot of shady listings and whatnot that are going on in the town that really need, and now you notice the signs down at the bank. Once I had inquired about it, and there really wasn't an auction there. It was being sold outright. But okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Pat Iverson, 59 West Hampton Street. One of the ones I had a question on was the authorizing a grant application for the West End Park for stream bank stabilization for almost $200,000. When are we going to quit throwing good money after bad over there? Do we have an engineer that knows what they're doing, or somebody in DPW that knows what they're doing and knows what grades are, or how to run a laser, or check grade stakes, or benchmarks, or anything? Because that place is a disaster. And on the same note, is that what ARH is for special engineer, which I hope not? And the other question I had was on Alimo for rescinding that. For what reason did we have for that?
I give you some answers there, Pat. 97, I would agree with you. That's all I can say.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah. You know, there was some back and forth. I got some emails from DPW this week, and our director there. What I can say is the email that I got back was informational, and you know, he had said that the hydro seeding didn't happen. That contract was canceled.
Which we had talked about way back when, and I said we could do that back then with a little bit of perennial rye and call it a day.
Right.
But that never happened.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one goes tonight. You know, as far as ARH, no, I don't believe that they were involved. They're not going to be involved with that if anything happens at West End Park. That's
Okay.
not.
No, I'm just
that's not the
curious.
situation.
Yeah, it was in there.
And then what was your other question, Pat? What other one?
On Alimo. For
Alimo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some issues with the sewer lining contract, I believe, right, Jerry?
That the last month, it was our last meeting, resolved to have Alimo be the engineer for the sewer lining project on Lakehurst Road. But procedurally, we can't approve that resolution appointing them until the money's in the budget to appoint them. So we're rescinding it for now. Let's wait until the budget's approved.
Not a problem with Alimo themselves. I mean, they're a pretty good engineering firm.
Not at all.
So, all right, no, I was just curious. The other one, I guess, which would go to the park, which I didn't mention, was we're subbing out the mowing and grass keeping, or whatever you want to call it, for certain parks and whatever. We have DPW that, you know, why are we subbing it out? That is.
Well, I think the answer there you go. Mr. Dewey can probably speak to that.
They don't have enough help, and they try to get summer help. The contract to affordable is all the ball fields, the municipal building, anything that people are gonna use, instead of having a bunch of kids out there with scissors, you know, doing it right.
All right, just, you know, it seems like it said we have people in place that we're paying in the township to, would be able to do
Basically,
that.
Pat, we couldn't pay one full-time guy
Right.
for what they're contracting to do this for.
Which is fine, if it's cheaper going that route and subbing it out,
Yeah.
I'm good with that. It was
Yeah.
just a question of,
Yeah, one-
like I said, I see them mowing over in Lake Valley
Yeah.
out front, why can't they
One
do?
full-time employee with benefits would be more than what this contract
All right,
is.
fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vicki Adams from 613 Sander Drive. I waited because I wanted to make sure any of my questions were answered by everybody else, so that I could get my time to what I want to say. Got to finish writing this. Two things. I know about the money that is available and stuff. In fact, I spoke with Ms. Flattery and stuff. I did not know that it's only $10,000, because when I was signed up with the original thing, it was $25,000. And that's what the contract to bid, all of that was approved for. So that disappoints me, because now I'm gonna have to go back and figure out, okay, what is first has to be repaired, you know? So, also, I sent you guys all an email back on March 7th, asking you to go to the governor's office together as a unit and asking for for them to remove Jack from office based on a no confidence, immoral aptitude caused by initial investigation report, multiple lawsuits, and failure to uphold his duties. As of today, from what I understand, one of those lawsuits have been settled and he was found guilty. Yes, it might only be civil, but it is a moral ineptitude. Okay? I really feel that I know people behind me and everybody has their opinions. I can still be your friend, but he needs to go. I wish there was a way to get a group of people from town to go to the governor's office. I don't even know how to go about doing it. Otherwise, I would go up there myself and take some people with me, because he has to go. And you guys are the only ones that are going to be able to do this. At this point, you know, I did what I could do last year. It didn't work. But he's still destroying this town. He's not, you know, we can't even go forward. You said at the last meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, that you're not working with him anymore. You know, if you're not working with him, we're not going to be able to go forward as a town. So there's no reason that you can't ask the governor to step in and say, hey, we've did everything we can. We're at our wits' end. How do we get out of this? Or how do we get him out? And I'm just asking you to step up, and I know you guys all have jobs. I know you're all very busy, and I respect each one of you. But this is a whole town that's depending on you five guys. And I think that this is a step that you need to make our town better. He's not going to be here for a month. And who's the person that he is asking to replace him? Is this person for the month going to do anything any better? Or is it possibly going to make things even worse? You know? Again, that's all I'm going to say. I still will not go back on my feelings that this man is evil. Bottom line, evil.
Council President.
Mr. Harper.
Vicki, yes, as you know, we got your emails. I did reach out to both assembly people in our district and Senator Tiver's office and explained the situation to them, and none of them ever got back to me. As far as going to the governor's office, I haven't done that. That's all I can say about that at this time. I do agree with you, though, with that last thing you said.
Sherry.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good to see everybody. I have a couple of things. I wasn't even going to speak, but the Yellow Bank, just keep in mind that the copper's all been stripped out of there, that it would probably take a heck of a lot of money to get that building to a desirable state. Of course, I don't want to see it gone. I love our history, and it needs to be either sold to somebody that's going to take care of it, or we need to get some million-dollar grants from somewhere. I wasn't successful in winning the lottery so that we could save the Woolston house on 206, because that would cost $2 million to save. And that house was built in 1710. It's a shame. We have to do the best we can to save what little history we have here. The other thing I want to say is this form of government, and I know it well, I sat there for 9 years, attended many meetings before and after, is very different than the committee form that we used to have. And I had encouraged council members to make sure they find out what their responsibilities are and their limits in this form of government. So I know when I saw the ordinance from last month that was originally 1980, well, that was developed under the committee form of government, not this form. So I had a couple questions about how that was. So I'm encouraging you still, you should all be working together. The law gave the opportunity to get a recall for the mayor. Didn't happen. And I tell him the same thing. This is nonsense. It's embarrassing to our community, you know, for the whole community. And I know Perry was there one night when I was threatened to have our former mayor removed because he was out of line in a meeting. Thankfully, you know, I didn't do it because I didn't want him to go after Perry. But there are different sets of rules for this form of government. Just be careful you don't get yourself into situations. And I'll give you an example one I got myself into. We had our fire departments. They were fighting with Dave. They called me and asked if I would meet with the presidents just to hear what they had to say. I went to meet with the presidents. We sat back here. Half an hour, I got my butt chewed. Not my job, not my authority to do something of that nature, which I've never told anybody I wouldn't talk to them or listen to their concerns. So I know you guys want to do what's best for our community. I believe that 100%. Just be careful. Thank you.
Hello.
Evening.
Erlene Alexander for Chickmunk Run. I'll start with the easier questions. Who would I reach out to get a road repaved? And then my next question is 1/18/2025. This has been going on for a while. Why are we rejecting all bids? Are we going to start all over? Because I thought phase 1 was like in process and almost finished, but I see here that it hasn't even started yet. So I just want to make sure we're not giving up on that project. And then lastly, a statement. I hear everyone talking about the mayor. So a lot of people in our township, you see the regular faces here every Wednesday at the council meeting. I actually mentioned Jack to someone, and they said, "Who's that?" I'm serious. They said, "Who's that?" And I said, "Well, he's the mayor." And they were like, "Oh." So we really have to get out and get people to be aware. You know, first, know who the mayor is. Second, come to the council meetings. It shouldn't be the same faces over and over. We should have much more and more people coming up forward and talking about this. And I should never have to have someone who lives in the community close to me saying, "Who's that?" when I mention the mayor. So we really have to get some kind of word out. I don't know how, but we really have to go door to door, just saying, "Hey, this is going on." So I'm laughing, but it's really not funny because it's so serious that This person said, who's that? And he's been mayor for what, 2 years?
Going on 3?
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. Well,
And if you need help with knocking on doors, just let me know at another Wednesday meeting.
well, Mrs. Alexander, were those your questions? 'Cause
Yep, that
okay.
was it.
So I will take a couple of them for you. The 1/18/2025, there was some problems with the RFP that went out, and the folks, basically the folks that bid on it, had some issues, I believe, with the state, right? Is that correct? Correct. Yeah, go ahead, help me out there.
We awarded the contract for this to a Diamond somebody or other. And it was the third time it was bid, as I recall.
No.
Diamond was the low bidder, and we awarded that contract a month or two ago. We were thereafter advised, and Ro can fill in the blanks, by the Division of Civil Rights of the town, of the state, that they had some procedures that are required for this grant that the bidder didn't yet do. So they told us effectively, you got to reject it and come back and do it again. And whoever the successful bidder is will have to comply with these regulations. But they gave the low bidder, Diamond, the opportunity to appeal their decision that we had to void this resolution. They had a hearing about it yesterday, whereby the low bidder gave his pitch as to why he was compliant and therefore he should get the bid, which at this point he still has. This resolution to reject that bid was put on there at the Division of Civil Rights requirement. But I think the council's going to pull it tonight because the hearing that they had yesterday, we've not heard yet for the Division of Civil Rights whether the low bidder is successful in getting the civil rights people to change their mind. Does that sound right, bro? Yeah. So at this point, it's still the low bidder. As far as we're concerned, you should do the work. We're not going to reject the bids tonight. We still got to put it to the side and before, so that we can know whether or not his request for a rehearing was approved or not. So we'll probably know something in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And as far as the road repaving, you could always make a request or an ask to the Department of Public Works, who takes care of our repaving, Mrs. Alexander. I'm still, if you do have any, or find out anything, I believe I live on your end of town too. I'm still waiting on Second Avenue to be repaved for 2 years, so. I think we're both waiting for something that hopefully, I haven't seen a repaving schedule for 2025 or 2026 as of yet, but hopefully we'll get there soon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President,
Yeah,
we
Mr.
talked, Matt and I talked to the head of the road department Monday or Tuesday, and they said they wouldn't have that list of roads out until after the budget. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt her to put your name in there. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Mike Salka.
Good evening, Mr. Salka.
92 Scrapetown Road. First, all about everyone that wants to get rid of the mayor, fire the mayor. If there's enough people, there's a process called a recall. Get your people together, start a petition, and do the process instead of just coming here and bitching all the time. Well, if you can't get the signatures, then there's not enough support. Okay, I'm talking. Chill out. All right, next. People who want to buy the bank and everything, the town to take the bank back. Stop buying property just to hold on to it. It's a commercial property. It's a private property. Why should the town buy it and not get taxes on it to be able to use for other stuff? Going into that, get taxes on it so that when we do this next budget, you can maybe actually afford to put in for an animal control officer. I have not seen yet that Pemberton Township has listed who their humane law enforcement officer is. I don't know if Pemberton has one, if they've had anyone go in training. That's illegal. That's against the state law to not have one designated. They have New Jersey Animal Control contracted to do animal control. Your website says that their services are 24/7, but it depends on the police supervisor at the time. If it's after hours, I've heard lots of reports that they tell the person, if you can't hold on to the dog, let them go. Just let them go. Let them go out in the streets and run around because you can't keep them in your house because you have another dog or something. I've heard those reports. I don't know how often that happens. Maybe we need to Oprah every single dispatch call that comes in for animals on the loose and see what the results are. But we used to have animal control, actual employee. We don't anymore. There's a ton of dogs always on the loose. You always see the reports. It's getting warm again. There's going to be more. It's just a matter of time till one of those dogs bites somebody, and we don't know who they are because I will guess that half the dogs out there are not licensed. We do have, I know there's an issue, I know, we have all the free rabies shots, we have the clinic and everything, but no one goes back and checks, oh, there's a Pemberton address on this rabies thing. They got 4 dogs that they got free shots for, but their address has 0 licenses registered. No one goes and says anything to them. And we should also look at maybe, if you're not spay neutered, that the license fee should be higher because there's a lot of backyard breeding going on out there. Make the licenses a lot higher if your dogs are not fixed, so you can register as a breeder and items like that. There's lots of stuff. This town is a mess when it comes to animals at large. But what do we get? We get the police putting on Facebook, oh, don't feed cats, and all that. I know they're talking about something else, TNR, but there's a bigger problem than just the cats. That's it.
Thank you.
Council President,
Mr. Harper.
I can address the animal,
Hold on.
One more thing. These gates need to get removed. Talk to code enforcement. That gate's okay. That one and that one, those are fire hazards. They don't swing the right direction for you to get out if there's a fire there.
Mr.
They should be
Salt-
removed tomorrow.
The state already came in, I understand.
all right, if I could get.
What he said is not true.
Hold on.
My name is Nina Dickman.
Madam, hold on 1 second, please. Madam.
25 Azalea Street.
Madam, please.
We have to-
Okay, we have a process here.
Okay.
Okay, please, if you'd like to make a public comment, okay, go ahead and sign in, state your name.
This is my first meeting, and I've lived here 44 years.
And yes, we're not done with Mr. Salka yet, so we do have to answer his questions and
As
before
far
everybody.
far as the animal control goes, we do have part-time animal control officers working diligently because I've been talking with them and giving them little tips. We do have a leash law, we do have a animal at large law. And, they're out there, they're trying to be nice, give people warnings the first time out and stuff, but they are out there working. You can call the police non-emergency number, and they will get somebody out to take care of it. And we still have, I believe it's the county doing it until June also, but our part-time people, I believe, are working out, and if you call their number, they'll get out and take care of it. I think Amy might be able to address the dog licenses issues. People get rabies shots, they have to have a license, correct?
Yes, as I've stated, our dog licenses have picked up since we now have our own animal control officers. I believe actually we have a full-time and a part-time, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We are
We-
still
we are.
contracted with
Yes.
NJAC until June.
And Mike, I know you do, I believe you do like legal stuff as well, right? And for a background, if you find anything with that fixed animal stuff, from an ordinance perspective, that I could take a look at, I'd be really interested to see that, because that might be a way to increase some revenue there. And that actually makes sense to me, but I don't know how enforceable that would be, so we'd.
Our dog licenses are currently $3 more for an unspayed or neutered animal,
Cool.
but
All right.
that
So we're already
$3
set.
goes to the state. So I don't know if we are allowed to raise it more than that, and we can look into that.
Okay, all right, cool,
I don't know
thanks,
if we're
Amy.
allowed to have a different dog license
Gotcha.
structure. We can look into that. Sometimes we can't. We're not allowed to charge more than what the state allows us to charge for. As I said, Mr. Sacco, we can look into it.
Mr. President, if I may. Mr. Salka, I happen to be present on 2 ACO calls within the last couple of months, and I got to tell you, the 2 officers that we have are exemplary. I just sat back and watched what he was doing. One was for somebody who just decided to throw their deceased dog in the cage just on the side of the road. When that young man showed up, which was very timely, I could tell that, and I'll even go and say her name, Sergeant Fallon, I believe, is the one in charge of the ACOs, and the training they're receiving is top-notch. And the levels of investigation this young man told me that he was going to do, I was very impressed. 18 years on the force, I was very impressed with his levels of investigative skills already, and he's new. And I've seen the other one, our female ACO, and exactly the same thing. Her investigative skills, her commitment to follow-ups, they are inundated with calls. But the fact that they can go out and do multiple follow-ups on a single complaint is impressive with the number of calls that they have. So they are very, very good at their jobs, and they're being led very well.
Excuse me, can he be on record when he talks about like hearing?
No. No back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Michelle, we're not going to have a back and forth, and we're not going to get this room out of order. There's a process, I explained that, if you want to help. I'm talking to everybody. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to come up for public comment? Michelle, one more word, and I'm going to have the officer remove you from this room. No, I'm not kidding you. I'm doing the best that I can up here tonight with the rest of these council members. I would like to have some order and move through the meeting, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody in general. My name is America Phillips. I've been living in the township for 45 years. My first question will be in reference to the leaves. I noticed in the past, everybody knew, they put in the paper, this month is going to be MPL, this month is going to be over here, or this week, whatever. But for some reason this past year, they changed that. I'd like to know whose idea was that one. Because I be honest with you, me walking every day, I've been see the leaves are sitting since December and back there. I know what you're going to tell me. Okay. I did part of my leave because I pay people to come and do my leave. But because the neighbor doesn't rake theirs, I got to rake their leaves. Okay. What I noticed, like I stated, in the past, this month's SPL or this week, whatever, automatic, the people already know to put their stuff there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 6 months, what I hear, that we got to call the township. You changing that. That's not right, because right now, April will come in pretty soon. I don't know. I see the truck guys coming up in PL. Guess what? Big truck, 4 workers. See the leave? They go bye-bye. Why they go bye-bye? Because this township made it that you gotta make the call, make the appointment for them, and that's not right. out the leaves and just put in there. They do what they want them to do. I'm 80 years old and I'm still picking leaves and bagging leaves. They put it out there for a reason. But the trucks go by there, big trucks there. Hey, if I was a worker in those trucks, wait a minute. There is 40, 50 bags there. Take it. They pay taxes. We pay taxes. Tomorrow morning, I really want to call very early my people, the public work. I know they work until 3 o'clock or 3:30, whatever. Can you tell me exactly the schedule for the public work, if I'm not mistaken, is for 7 to 3? Or that's not true? Okay, when I finish, you can answer me that. Okay. Now, what I noticed when Mr. Renza was talking in reference to the affordable houses and here in low-income houses, I'm going to be honest with you. In my 45 years, I used to be a paper delivery before I went and worked for the state. Everybody's in the low income. But wait a minute. When you go and pass a house or the apartment, I'm going to take a Golden Terrace, for example. I know that if people living there and they not a low income, they not on the bottom. They are high there. Why? Because nobody bothered investigating these people. And our township got to be strict and go and find it out. You want an affordable house, affordable apartment, guess what? Make an investigation. You are able to. It's not right for us, the taxpayer, to carry the load. I leave it there. Okay, I'm only speaking in reference to the Sycamore Hall. And it said, I just hope that we can get that historical building. I guess this is the only few things we got here in this town. There is grants in there. The people getting grants. And this is historical building when we get it. And we can apply for the grant. We got special people, we pay plenty money. Taxpayer pay plenty money, they can write grants. I don't have that education, but I know that it's all the people, whoever works here, they got some kind of education. I leave it there. Okay, I've been asking for no litter sign, please. I clean the highways, I clean the road. Saturayville Country Lake, and I know where I'm going and choose my place. Country Lake and Spring Lake Boulevard. Why? Because I can work 4 hours there, and I fill it up bags and bags. Okay, and I yes about my leave. In the apartment, they had to do an investigation of the affordable housing because it's not right for us to carry the load. The only thing I can read about in the paper is affordable house in Pemberton Township. I used to be a paper lady in the past. I saw the Brownswood apartment was the top of the line. I found it out that no, they are the low income. We have to do an investigation in every single person who live in those places. It is true how much money that you bring it. Thank you. Now you can answer me when I go sit down.
Thank you, America.
Can I answer about the leaves?
Sure, yeah, go ahead, Danny.
America, 2 years ago, Josh Ward and myself, on our time, we got quotes for 2 leaf vac machines for this town. We got the videos, the quotes, the price, and everything, and it was a 3-man operation. One driving the truck. It was a 40-yard container that picked up and ground up the leaves and blew them into the container. The third person would go around with a rake and just pick up stuff, where it got blown around. And between the mayor and Public Works, they refused us to purchase it. They didn't want it. So with the 2 machines, you only would have needed 6 men. They would have never had to lift a bag that's soaking wet over 35 pounds of leaves to throw it in a truck. The guy on the machine would have been sitting in a chair with joysticks, all hydraulic. But they'd rather spend that year, what was it, $80,000 for garbage trucks. So we've tried.
Are you done? Can I talk now or what? My name is Michelle Foreman. And I just want to say that I'm allowed to talk whatever I want to for 5 minutes, and nobody can interrupt me, and nobody can try to silence me, correct? Okay, at least somebody's shaking their head yes. First of all, I do not appreciate being threatened to have a police officer escort me out of this room for a minor infraction, as far as I'm concerned. I was here a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, and somebody was interrupting my share, and people told me to ignore her and keep going. Nobody said anything to her. But I say a small thing after other people were clearly speaking loudly in this room. And you're going to call me out, Mr. Ward? I'm just, you don't have to answer me. I'm just sharing my thoughts. It's
Michelle,
okay. You can tell me later.
I'd like to answer.
I just want to finish. Then you can talk later, because I had a great day. It was a beautiful day. I feel like I'm a loyal neighbor. I always say that. I feel like I'm a respectful citizen. I feel like, trust me, I'm not well. I'm doing my best to fight something very difficult, if you know what I mean. And I show up at these meetings, and I feel like leaving sometimes. I do. But I sit here. You know why? Because I want to hear what you have to say, because you sat there for hours listening to us. And I feel like I respect each and every one of you, and I supported and voted for each and every one of you. I would have done more for you all if I could have. And I don't regret at all voting for you. You're doing a great job. I can't believe how courageous you are. I'm watching you. Okay? And of course, it's always, I have no regrets voting for you, Mr. Doyle. Your father is a great man. Do you know when I came here, I didn't know anybody? Your father always showed me courteous and respect at the school board meetings, and I had 5 kids going through that school. And I had a lot of things to say tonight, but I'm totally distracted. I feel like I got disrespected. I didn't appreciate it. Hold on. I have other questions and things that I really wanted to talk about. So I just guess I'll pick one. I'll pick one thing to talk about. I was at the park that I've been telling you guys about, and somebody had their dog, and they were throwing the ball at him, which I'm so happy. If you have dogs, I love that you're taking them out to exercise, okay? But the dog was getting closer and closer to me as I'm trying to exercise on the exercise, what do you call them, stations, okay? And the dog's getting closer to us. It was a real spectacle. You should have seen me. I'm not even going to tell you. I had to climb up a ladder to get away from this dog. But anyway, I talked to a friend of mine who went there 2 hours later, and he got cursed out because two other people some other lady was throwing balls at 2 dogs, okay? There's a leash law. You can't do that. I want you to be able to do that, and I want to see you guys work to find a place to do that. At that park, there's plenty of space that you can put a fence. Rosemary, I don't know if you have anything to do with these type of things. You could fence over there, and you could throw balls to your dog and get exercise for you and your dogs, and I'll be happy about it, but not where you're trying to concentrate on an exercise station, you know, at 7:30 in the morning.
So I don't have anything to do with
Okay.
that, but I will let the chief know that your concerns. I will follow up tomorrow.
Okay, well, thankfully, the man, Mr. Saka, oh, he's still here. We have 2 part-time animal control officers. And as Perry said, this girl, her name is Kat. I didn't talk to David. I think the other man's name is David. I didn't get to meet him yet or talk to him. But this girl, Kat, was exemplary. I mean, she didn't know the license. I tried to get his license plate. I couldn't find it. He's cursing me out. But I got, and he cursed the other grown man out. A lady was cursing a grown man out 2 hours later at the same park. Just because, you know, she tracked that guy down with the 2 dogs. And anyway, I only have 5 minutes, so I can't say all the details. But in that, I'm gonna close out on that. I am sorely disappointed. Sorely disappointed because I got this treatment with the Democrats. And I had to tell Mr. Gardner off quite a few times for threatening me to kick me out of this room. And I don't think I was acting that. I mean, that was definitely an overreaction. And I feel like I've been targeted tonight by you. And it's going to take a long time for me to forget that. I will remember that. Thank you.
Valerie Rohr, Pemberton Road. I have, I wasn't going to speak tonight. I enjoyed listening to everyone. I want to say that I thank you for the 5 minutes because I went to Southampton meeting yesterday and they only give you 3. So I appreciate the 5 minutes. I have two questions, and I guess I need you to explain something to me. The gentleman that spoke that said, get the petition, blah, blah, blah. People have come in the past to fight against something that they believed in, even if it wasn't the mayor. They did their fighting, they showed up, and I guess with different people on council, they felt that they wasted enough time coming to meetings because nothing changes anyway. I heard it from several residents that I stopped when I was trying to get people to come out and know what's going on, and they said, you know, give up, because we're not coming. We had the battle with the township already, and we're not interested. So, you know, people have been burned in the past, have been doing what we've been doing, you know, year upon year, and nothing's changed. So, you know, it's important that they get out, somebody gets back out there and encourages people to come back out. It's not one person's job. I watched last week's meeting with Mr. Ellie, if I'm saying his name right, and I don't understand. I thought he was trying to get a different building, but needless to say, I don't understand, maybe you can explain it to me, why he can't buy another property, why he is being closed off by the mayor, and why the mayor can give no explanation of why he is saying no to the sale. Like, he's not the president, he's a mayor. So I understand the petitions of getting him out and whatnot, but what gives him that control out of 5 people to can vote one way, and the mayor has 1 vote, and it obsoletes your 5? So explain to me how he can get away with that. And apparently, the man has been in the township for a long time. He has been part of the community. People love him. Why is this happening to him? That's all I got.
Josh, may I, or do you?
Sure, Matt, go ahead.
So, that's a really good question, but there's really no answer. In our form of government, the mayor has control, and he controls all real property in the township. We have no say in that at all. If we did, then we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. We don't understand why he will not allow Mr. Ellie to have that property. When asked, he just says, "I'm not going to talk about it." We
Okay,
never
but
get a straight answer.
Isn't there a legal right for him to have to tell you why?
No. Unfortunately, no. In our form of government, he is the CEO of this company called Pemberton Township, and he is the ultimate decision maker when it comes to a transaction such as selling a piece of township property.
Okay, but wasn't there an agreement with Mr. Ellie to take care of him in transition of wherever they were going to place him to begin with? And if they don't have a place to transition him to, then he shouldn't be stopped from trying to buy something and stay in the community.
The agreement that the township signed with the buyer a few years ago says that the township will assist in the cost of relocating anyone there, and the township will get reimbursed by the buyer for those expenses. So if, for the sake of the discussion, Mr. Ellie were to find, forget the EMS building for a moment, if he were to find another place in town that he wants to move to, generally speaking, the town will be required to, and I think would voluntarily, help, hopefully happily, help him move.
Okay, well, he is trying to at least go to buildings that are already there, not trying to build a building from scratch. And it seems like a lot of the vacant buildings seem to be owned by Pemberton Township.
Ms. Roy, you're looking at 5 individuals up here who have personally, one at a time and collectively, asked him to sell that building to Mr. Ellie. And as Mr. Bianchini just told you, his exact words are, "This is not up for discussion. It's my decision." And that's where it ends.
And I did think of one more thing I had a question about. The properties on Pemberton Road, they are, Linda Perez has them up for sale. She seems to be the mafia of farm ground. So, how is that being sold? Is that commercial? Is it preserved ground? Like, what is it, and how do we stop anything before it can get anywhere?
Well, it can't be preserved ground because preserved ground can only be sold as a farm. So once it's in farmland preservation and the state releases the money to that owner for that farm to preserve in farmland forever, it can only be sold by that current owner who still maintains the ownership. The state hands them that money and they maintain, they retain the ownership. They're not selling it to the state. They're just selling development rights to the state, which means it can never be developed. It can only be sold as a farm in the future.
And it still has to be farmed.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Cat Mom. I live at 135 Apple Avenue. I'm here tonight because I need help. I need guidance. And I need someone to tell me what's going on. There's a lot of loose cats in the Browns Mills area. Those of us who are animal lovers, and I am an animal lover, people have come from wherever and left dogs and cats in baskets on my front porch. I even accuse the gas man of doing this, all right? During the years of helping out others find their loved pets, it stuck to me. So that's why I have the name Cat Mom. In the meantime, where I need the guidance is TNR. Why don't we have that in Browns Mills? This is a beautiful township with all this greenery, all this woods, people walking down the streets, cleaning, picking up animals, aren't even theirs, but cuddling them as they're picking up trash. Where does TNR come in? That's my question. What can this township do to get that started. I've been here 1,000 years. 1,000 years, and the only thing with actually health-wise is that I have heart problems. But I'm still out there taking care of animals. Are there, or is there anyone, maybe two, maybe three people who has an animal? Stand up. Put your hand up. Don't be afraid. Come on. Wouldn't you
Yeah, I know.
like to see a TNR here?
What?
Wouldn't you? Now, some people, they don't understand. These animals, these cats, these dogs, even these annoying deer. I'm not saying I don't like them, Danny. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Well, I just want some knowledge as how we can get that started.
Absolutely.
Okay, we don't want to be ducking and diving to feed these animals. We just want them to be in a safe environment. Can you help me?
So
Tell me what to do.
First off, I'll let you know, for 1,000 years, don't take this the wrong way, but you look a lot younger than that. I'll leave it at there. Second off, madam, what I would say is, when me and Mrs. Dewey came on board about 2.5 years ago, I did have a sit-down with the county about TNR.
Okay.
They did help me with a model ordinance that was given to me. I had multiple conversations in my place of work with them over the course of the past 1.5 years, and respect everything that they do.
Yeah.
As a council member, when I submitted an ordinance to our previous business administrator, that ordinance was said to me, no.
Oh,
So that's where I'll leave it at that. However,
yeah.
what I can say is, Ms. Kozlowski has some information about TNR that she's going to deliver to you as well here, just recently, more recently than.
Oh, this is great. So it's good that I came down here. Yeah.
Okay, actually, I had a meeting today with the TNR people
Okay.
regarding getting TNR started in the township, and I now have the model ordinance. I haven't been here 1,000 years, but I have been here 29 years.
Okay. Close.
I will tell you, back in 2008, I did attempt to try and get something started with TNR, but part of that included having cat licensing. Well, it wasn't fine in 2008 because I was vilified, and this was pretty much before Facebook, so I ain't going down that road again. I can tell you that flat out.
Dark city.
Luckily, my conversation, but at that time, back in 2008, the TNR program did require more input financially from the township. That is not the case anymore, which I was happy to learn today. I did just have this conversation with these people today. There was other things that happened today. I haven't had a chance to really digest it all, get with the police department, and give it to township, the council, and the attorney to get things started. But I told them I would definitely be looking into it. I don't know who would have the final say on it, and because depending on what township resources it does require, not financially, but our animal control would have to be involved.
Right, of course.
So, but we are discussing it.
Good. All right, so there is a green light.
Yes, there's a start. There is a start. I did speak with them today. I have the packets on my desk, and it will be discussed and go forward in discussion, but I'm not going to make any promises because I have to make sure that everything that these people told me is correct. I'm going to call other townships to make sure of their experiences with it. Obviously, a TNR program would be very helpful. Our township, along with Willingboro, is two of the largest towns that contribute to the cat population and what gets brought over to the shelter.
Right.
So we know it's an issue. It's been an issue.
Yes.
But
Ongoing. All right,
as,
so at this point, what should I do? Should I just wait until there's an announcement, or?
well, what I can ask you, Cat Mom, if you could provide me with your actual name? Because if this is something that does get going, the programs will be reaching out to the local people in our community who I know already have a role and stake in getting something done.
Okay.
So these are like state-level organizations
All right,
that I spoke with, at least one today, so,
okay.
along
All
with
right, I
two
can give
other
you my
regional.
name. I'm going to put it right here on the sheet, okay? My
Okay.
real
Okay.
Oh, that one.
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Made me very happy.
Thank you.
It's just too quiet.
How you doing? My name is
How you doing?
Brian Becker. I'm with Garden Animal Rescue. We're based out of Manalapan. I wasn't originally going to speak, I was actually going to speak with you afterwards, but since you brought it up, I figured I might as well come up. When you spoke with the county 2 years ago regarding the TNR program, 2022, I was actually the county's consultant that they brought in to build them a TNR model. The meeting that the clerk had today, I'm actually privy to some of that information. I know the parties that were involved in there. Actually spoke with one of them after that meeting and offered them my assistance to be able to assist a little bit more availability on the ground. My organization offers that program both as a framework, policy, and ordinance-wise, initially for that operational side of it. My background, obviously, I have 19 years in animal rescue. I'm also a state certified animal control officer. I am also a former humane officer. I specialize specifically in animal cruelty and hoarding, which anyone that deals with animals, especially cats, you do have a hoarding situation that comes with a lot of situations. As far as the question, you had brought up something prior in regards to licensing with animals. That's something that I do have an expertise in. I do want to offer my office to the township and to the council. Should you have any questions, we're available to you. There's no charge for that. I'm not going to charge you anything as far as that initial consultation. Any questions that you could have, I'll leave you my cards after the meeting. And you could more than happy to reach out to myself or my office, and we could assist you in any way possible, whether it's TNR or anything animal welfare. We're happy to assist the town.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hi, Wanda Knox, Stockton Bridge Road. I wanted to, if you had anything to do with it, and I'm sure you did, thank you for the rehabilitation program in Pemberton. I started the process of looking into it in March of 2023. Started the application process in May of 23, was approved in September of 24. Lot of paperwork, lots and lots of paper. A lot of the paperwork I had to do over and over again. I needed a new roof. We all need a little help sometime, right? Needed a new roof desperately, really couldn't come up with the funds to do it. I persisted, I was patient, and we finally got it, the approval. And there was a little holdup, I want to say, with the starting of the work because the contractor had previously done work in Pemberton and hadn't gotten paid. This was from August of '24. And he, when the approval was complete, he basically said he wouldn't start the work until he was paid for the previous work that he had done in August. So he's actually started the work in November, October, end of October, beginning of November. And as far as I know, as last week, he still hasn't gotten paid for our job, which was complete in January. So I was kind of wondering, what's the time frame on them getting paid with that program?
Hi, Mrs. Knox. All the bills have been paid. All the files have been closed out. We pay them as soon as we receive them. They're sent, I put them in the system. I initiate the requisition. I give it first approval. The CFO gives it second approval, and the mayor gives it third approval, and then it goes on council's agenda. We don't hold any of the invoices. Sometimes they don't get the invoices to us. That could have been the delay, but there was no delay on our part.
Do you know if the invoices come from the contractor themselves, or does it come from the company that does all the paperwork?
Okay, so we get invoices from Acuity, which was the contractor that we used, but Development Directions was a subcontractor to them, and then Development Directions hired contractors. We created vendor accounts for them. We pay them directly.
Okay. So you're saying he should have been paid anyway? Okay.
Absolutely.
And if he didn't, it would just be a matter of the paperwork not making it here?
So all the files are closed out because the program has expired now. So the new program's going to be in-house, and the paperwork that you were talking about, we're going to try to minimize that for the residents, because there was a lot of confusion with the paperwork and going back and forth with somebody from North Jersey. So we're going to simplify that process. But if he didn't get paid, that means that he didn't submit it, or it's on council's agenda to get approval. But all the bills have been closed out. All the files are closed.
Okay.
And I know your file.
Ah, okay. So by chance, you know if it was paid? Everything was paid. Okay, great.
Everything.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again.
Anybody else for public comment this evening? Eric.
Good evening, Council. Eric Hess, 119 Sunset. I want to thank you guys for getting some of the progress done with the street and some of the clearing done, and getting the pipe removed and filling the trench in with stone. It's a lot better than what it was before. I'm just curious when you're going to come out and just clean the rest of it up and put the pipe back in the ground. No, I got one more. The college property now, I know, like you were saying, you got to make a move on it or it's going to go to waste or somebody else is going to buy it. Would that be possible to buy that and turn that into a dog park or agility? I mean, because a lot of people have dogs here. They would love to bring their dog to a park and let it run off the leash. If it's fenced in, they could do that there. That's my only question.
That's your second question, Eric?
Yeah, that was
All
my
right,
second.
so Harry, you want to take his first one, and I'll see if I can answer his
Yeah,
second one.
yeah, as far as your road project, right now, that's what the road department is going to do. They're just going to leave the stone in place, and they're going to monitor it and see how the drainage works. If that fixes the problem, there'll be no future work done there. If it doesn't, then they'll come out and correct it. I myself have been out there after every rainstorm since they finished it, just checking, and so has the township people. But they said if they find it's not working sufficiently, then they'll come out and make other adjustments. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll try to, with Jerry's help probably, Eric, I'll try to answer your second, and catch me when I get off course. But with the college property, right, so that whole property is owned by the county. They own it, right, Eric?
Correct.
So what happens is, they did a land swap for a property in Mount Laurel so they could build a warehouse in Mount Laurel, right? So they had to swap the open space at a certain percentage more in order to get that taken care of, right? So what they did was they're going to green space the property in the township here, which means that they could probably, if they wanted to, sure, they could turn it into a walking park and it'd be very nice along the waterways. I'm sure, Dr. Thomas would be, ecstatic if that happened, right? And so would I, because I love to walk the area, and the sand cranes that are over there right now are beautiful birds, right? So he's a bird whisperer, I'm not, but I know, I can kind of identify them. But in regards to the rest of the property, so I'll just use simple math, that there's, 100 acres that's going to be preserved for green space, and that leaves 10 acres left, right? Then potentially, there's the potential for somebody to come in and, build whatever they want to build there. So where it's not the county's, it's home rule, so to speak, is what it's called. So the county doesn't really, have a dog in the fight, so to speak, when it comes to what's developed there.
All right.
What our responsibility in the township, at our level, is to sit there and say, okay, well, we have this, there's potential to have this other 10 acres developed. How do we, as a community, want to see that go? What do we want to see there? What does it look like, right? And what's ultimately feasible for that leftover space? So then you would basically go and do a redevelopment or a development plan on that piece of property itself. And then that way there, when a contractor comes in, they say, oh, this is great. The county has this piece of property. I'm going to buy this 10 acres off the county. Then they come into Pemberton Township and you go sort of hand in hand kind of say, well, this is what you can do here for the town. This is what you can build here. And you're held to these rules and regulations. Did I do a good job with that?
Very good
Perfect,
job.
see that? That's kind of what I'm saying. Now, with that property, it's obviously more than 10 acres left over. And it's not, it's kind of away from the riparian zone, the buffer zone, so to speak, in the wetlands and the pinelands over there. It's that's why they're probably going to tear these places down and leave the foundations there, because it makes it a little bit easier to go ahead and develop that land if they so chose to. But I've been told from members of the county that once they get to that state and figure out what to do with that piece of property, then I think Pemberton Township will have a hand at the table, so to speak, in helping and assisting the county in doing what we're doing there.
Okay, I mean, I think it'd be a benefit for the police force too, to bring their dogs in and let the dogs run around, and other people,
I think it would benefit a lot of
Be a
people.
fenced-in area, let the dog run,
Yeah.
around the track, you have another area to do whatever you want, and, you could even do agility or dog training there.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment section out for this evening. And what's that? And before we get into the resolution and meeting minutes, Mr. Dasty is going to do an update on some things that we spoke about in closed session. So, Mr. Dasty.
Thank you, Council President. The council, as you know, I hope you understand, this year's, the goal is transparency. And they've directed me to talk to you now about a very serious matter of litigation that we have to make a decision in 2 weeks. It takes a little background, so follow me if you could, and I'll try to talk slowly. And this is all public knowledge, and in fact, I think it's all known about town now, that the township, through its insurance company, conditionally approved a settlement last night to pay one of the township employees for her lawsuit against the town, the mayor, and the former business administrator. The lawsuit was started by the employee alleging, not sexual, but alleging business, day-to-day harassment, let me just put it to you that way. It got to the point where the mayor fired this employee. The employee appealed that firing to the township council, I think in either 23 or 24, and pursuant to the township code was reinstated as an employee, but the lawsuit went on. The lawsuit was settled for $550,000. Now, that's, for the most part, it's insurance money. But your insurance policy with the JIF, with the Joint Insurance Fund, says, and I think this is standard, that if there's a settlement of a case, the township has to pay 20% of the settlement up to no more than $50,000. So at this point, that settlement would require a payment of $50,000 by the town. Now, I know that there's been discussions, certainly up here, certainly at the microphone, about whose fault this lawsuit was and who should really have to be responsible for paying that $50,000. We have to make a decision as to whether the council has to approve any settlement of a litigation. And we have for 2 weeks, until I think our meeting is April 2nd, to determine if we're going to agree to the settlement, which requires a payment of $50,000. I'm preparing a memo to the council and to the governing body indicating what happens if you do agree with it and what happens if you don't agree with it. If you do agree with it, it's easy for me to say you pay $50,000. I think the insurance company will advance that 50, but they'll get the money back next premium. But if the town were to, or excuse me, if the council, for instance, were to say, and I'm not making any judgment, it's obviously their decision, no, we don't want to agree to that because we don't want to pay $50,000. Somebody else should pay the $50,000. Well, then the settlement doesn't go through. And then the township has issues because the insurance company, our insurance company, is going to say, we're out of here. We told you we'd settle it. It's all yours. You have $550,000 to play with. Hope you try the case and it comes in less than $550. Because if it comes in at $551, the township pays that extra dollar and whatever else might be involved. At this point, the settlement would not include any payment for what we call punitive damages or intentional damages. Intentional, I really mean to hurt you type damages. Yeah. If it did, and if there was a trial and there was a finding by a jury that we violated, we being the township, the law against discrimination because the plaintiff was a woman and there was issues in the complaint about that. If we were to find that we intentionally, or somebody, either the town, the mayor, or the administrator, they're the defendants, if they committed intentional malicious acts, then much more than the normal damages would be assessed. The possibility is there could be up to 3 times what the normal assessment, the normal damages would be, plus the attorney's fees to their attorney. Now you're really talking big money. And keep in mind that assuming for the sake of the discussion that the council were to say, no, we're not going to agree to this, that additional money would come from you. So I was directed to tell everyone publicly, because it is public now. The lawsuit's been public for a couple of years. The settlement has been public for more than 24 hours. Everybody knows, there's no cat coming out of the hat here. But we wanted to mention all of this to you in terms of transparency, because the council's got a tough decision to make in 2 weeks. Because as I indicated previously, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. If we do, and we agree to settle and pay the $50,000 and pay it out of taxpayer funds, well, I suspect these people are going to get blamed for that. If we don't, and we take the chance to go further, the monetary issues could be really, really, really difficult for the town if the case goes south. The case was mediated by a very, very distinguished and very good retired judge. Judge Orlando knows what he's doing. He's very good, and he got everybody together. He has indicated that he believes if there's $50,000 to be paid by one of the defendants, the township, the mayor, or Mr. Hornicle, that it should be paid by the township. The reason being that the allegations in the complaint are that what the plaintiff complained of was done during town time, so to speak. We have, like almost all towns, an indemnification ordinance. We indemnify our employees if they get sued for normal day-to-day type stuff. If a police officer is in a police car, and God forbid he's in a crash and he hurts somebody, and that person sues the town, they sue the police officer. Well, we defend the police officer because he was doing something in his official capacity, and that's what he does. The judge would be, now, by the same token, and this would never happen, if that police officer was drunk driving the police car and he has the accident and he's sued, well, the town may not be indemnifying him because that's not what police officers are supposed to do. That's not his line of duty. And I'm not in any way disparaging any of the policemen. So the judge who trying to settle the case and knock heads together believes, there's not a ruling, but he believes that the allegations raised by the employee were that things occurred to her by township people during township time. There was no sexual harassment issue, as far as I know. There were other issues. The woman was fired. She fought improperly. The council brought her back together. That's the kind of thing. And the judge felt that this should be a township responsibility, not one of the individual's responsibility, because the allegations are that this all occurred by township people during township time in the normal course of township stuff. So this council, we discussed it this evening because this proposed settlement or conditional settlement just came up, just was approved last night about 6 or 7 o'clock. And the township council has a decision that we have to make in 2 weeks, next meeting, as to whether or not we're going to support the settlement, and if not, what happens. So the council instructed me to let everybody know because we didn't want to show up 2 weeks from now and adopt a resolution to do something, and everybody says, what are you talking about? This is what we're talking about. And this came up last night, and we have 2 weeks to make a determination. My office is preparing a memorandum to the council indicating the what-ifs, if you go this way or if you go that way. And then stay tuned. So now you know what we know, and as taxpayers, you have a right to know. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, Jerry, I just have one question.
Yeah.
So what you're telling, the judge decided that neither one of the people named in the lawsuit are responsible for not one dime.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't decide that.
Okay.
He gave his opinion.
His opinion.
Because, and it might be the right opinion, but he was there to settle the case.
I
you know?
understand.
So he's
Yeah, I just
knocking
wanted
all
to
the
be
heads together.
clear on that.
And he urged everyone to come to
settle.
the understanding that this is a township, not an individual obligation to post the 50,000, because the allegations are that the individual defendants didn't do anything extraordinarily out of the regular course of events or course of duties. Now, he didn't make a ruling, Harry. That's effectively, you guys are going to make the ruling. But, so there you are.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Councilman Dewey.
Jerry, for the record, how many more cases do we have in front of us?
I know of 2 more, and I know of 2 more. Let's leave it like that. Right now, there's 2 more.
Okay, so I'd like to thank the solicitor for that. Again, like he said, it's one thing that we discussed is transparency with the community. And that means a lot to us. So that's a decision that we're all going to be making in about 2 weeks. So wish we didn't have to, but is what it is, unfortunately. So we'll move on to the meeting minutes wrapped up in the consent agenda too? Yeah, is that- Okay. The agenda And we'll go through a consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Council, will be enacted. Yep. Will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Council members have anything that they'd like to pull from the consent agenda this evening?
Council President, I know
Mr. Harper.
I'm not going to make your night, but I think under the circumstances, we need to go through most of them one at a time, yeah. I know there's 3 that we can go through at one shot, but the rest, I think I'd like to go through one at a time.
Okay. Mr. Dewey?
I see maybe 4.
So I just want to get a consensus of, yes, that's what we want to do before.
So when we covered a number of these resolutions, I don't see why we can't do a consent agenda across the board, but I'll defer to the majority.
Mike on.
I think we can do 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107. I'd like to talk about 108, 109, 110 should be good. I think we ought to talk about the towing a little bit. Lake Pemberton should be okay. I think we need to get a clarification on 113. I think we should talk about the Sun Bank, if we can do anything there. And I can't, the notes I have on there, I can't repeat in public. Let me look at them. But we could do them for now, if you wanted.
Well, how about 115, 16, 17, and 18? Oh, 18, yes, we're going to pull that one. That's going to be, yeah, we're going to pull that one. JW, I'll pull that one. 115, 116, 117. All right, we'll leave that. I'll pull 115, 116, 117, so that way there we can just get through those other ones. That's fine.
I mean, that'll-
Anybody else have any ones that they want to hear? No? Okay, so we just need a motion to approve the consent agenda as
everything
amended.
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to talk about 97. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And the 108 I'd like to talk about. I just can't wrap my hands around that quite yet.
And I have answers for that. I got an email from Shayla on that one, so I do have answers
I
for that.
read it, but it still doesn't make sense.
Well, I got all the asterisks, so we're looking at basically 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 109, 110, 112. That's what would be on the consent agenda right now, as well as the meeting minutes. Thank you, Amy.
Make a motion that we do that.
I second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
No.
Mr. Doyle?
You're including the minutes from the last meeting in this?
Yeah,
Then I have to abstain because I wasn't here.
okay.
Well, you could vote on the rest of it if you wish to abstain on the minutes.
Yeah,
I'll be a yes on everything else, but I have to abstain from the minutes.
Mr. Ford?
yes. Okay, so we're at 97, 20, 25. Who wants to go first?
Well, since we have all of our professionals here, Candace, I have a question for you on this West End Park. Is the money already set aside on our share of that? Because this project started like in 2020.
So we were awarded this grant, and I don't want to say that we have it because it's reimbursable. So we would have to spend the money and then ask for it back, but we were awarded that. Amy and I spoke about this, the title of it, of authorizing the grant application.
Right.
Seems a little strange. That's what was given to us, and I believe it's just that we're trying to change the signer
Right,
on
right.
this resolution.
Yeah, but I was just wondering about the match part of it, you know, because like I said, it originated back in 2020. I didn't know if that match money was already set
We
aside.
do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have had to do that when the grant was accepted.
Okay, that was my biggest question for that, yeah, so.
And I apologize for that, Candace, and I did speak about that. It is corrected on the resolution resolution that's in your packets. I neglected to correct it on the,
Yeah, I know
agenda.
it was the one that was just given to us, so.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What's the deal with the 700,000 from the previous one?
Is it 750,000?
Yes, that's part of this, right?
No, no, this is
No,
all
this is,
separate.
this is the new one.
Right.
But we were discussing about the monies that you're trying to get.
The town was awarded a grant to fix up the West End Park to the tune of $1.1 million. The town has spent about $750,000, and unfortunately, the town didn't finalize the grant requirements to get reimbursed. Ask the DEP to let us do something else at the West End Park for the tune of the other 350,000. Whether that door is closed, we don't know, but we're working on that.
I personally think we shouldn't dive into another grant until we get the first one straightened out. And there's a lot of answers. We had one person say they hydroseed, one said we didn't hydroseed.
Well, I think that's apples and oranges, Councilman. The 750 we're talking about, I think, and our CFO can tell me if I'm wrong, I think we're about ready to submit the vouchers that we've paid to get reimbursed by the, so that portion of the grant, I think, is in the bank, so to speak.
The entire package is due by April 22nd, I believe. There's some portions that we're waiting on from the engineers,
Okay.
so I can't speak about that. But yes, the vouchers are ready to be sent.
And who's the engineer?
ARH.
Of course. My personal opinion is, I think this should be tabled, but we know for sure that this grant is straightened out from the first one. You know, I mean, the conversations that we had, and I'm not mentioning any names because I don't want to get in trouble again, but when we went to the meeting there after the rainstorm and there was over 4 foot of water in the whole lot, including the parking lot, and I said, well, we knew that the grades weren't right when we did them. Why didn't you call the engineer while you were doing it? You know, they got paid. I mean, when we showed up there, there was 100 ducks and geese swimming, and there was 4 kids from Lake Valley swimming there too. That's how deep the water was. And it was there for 3 weeks. And, you know, I'm not a guy that likes to waste money. You know, we get a grant, we're trying to do something right, and it didn't get done right. And if they did hydroseed it, it got flushed into the creek. And that was $13,000. So I don't know if they did it or they didn't do it. If they didn't do it, where's the money?
Councilman, as I understand what's 97-2025, this is just to process a grant, a different grant,
A different grant.
right?
It is. So the engineers reached out to Amy, and we need a different signer on there because the previous signer no longer works here. So that's what they're suggesting. I believe it's a matter of time that we have to do this.
Right.
Whether we spend the money or hold off on it, that's different, but I think this is just procedural.
But right now, we're not spending any money other than just
No, it's-
processing
Well,
a
you're
it's
going
grant.
to
just-
be on the hook
it's-
for 34% if you
It's
get
just
it.
for the signer, yeah, but that's what I asked Candace, but that money's already been
Yeah.
set aside.
The
This
case
was
is,
awarded 2 years ago.
we
2
were
years
actually
ago.
already awarded this grant. The way the resolution, as it was sent to me, really the title was incorrect. The only thing the resolution is doing is changing
Proving the
the
signer.
person that can go on to the state system to change things or whatever. There's state
Yeah.
systems that we have to use in order to process certain things. The person that is currently the signer authorized no longer works here. So the state recommended it be changed to the CFO. So it's my understanding, we have the grant, the money has been our match has been set aside, as Candace said. Nothing has been spent on this. Nothing has been done. But if we do choose to go forward with this, this has to be approved so that we have that availability. If we don't, then the money's just gone. I guess they'll pull the grant back. So that's what's essentially going to happen.
Candace, your perception on the package you're putting together, you said you have to have it in April.
Yes.
We're going to get that money back, your belief?
Yes, Dusty did a very good job arguing it.
That's what I wanted
As
to.
long as we submit the paperwork to them by April 22nd, we'll get the money back.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jerry, I got another question. Could anybody answer why, when we use this particular engineer, he does not inspect the work that the public works are doing? Now, I was told that they can just go ahead and do it, and nobody makes any inspections on a project like this.
It may not be a rhetorical question, I don't know, but I can't answer that.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I'm just, we were told that, oh, no, that they don't inspect our work.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just,
They're charging for inspecting the work, I can tell you that.
I make a motion to approve 97, 2025.
I second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
no.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay, next up, we have 108, 2025, authorizing the cancellation of tax title lien number 22 quadruple 01 due to property owner declaring bankruptcy prior to tax sale. Mr. Dewey, you said you had questions?
Yes. The way I read it, she filed Chapter 13 first, and then they got through that, and then the husband or whoever he is, he filed Chapter 13. Are they making their mortgage payments, being under chapter?
Well, Chapter 13 would be a workout, so Chapter 13 of bankruptcy is a workout, which means that they'd have to, I guess, monthly, pay to the trustee a portion of the old debt, which would include the taxes.
Right.
Taxes take priority over anything else, so eventually we'll get paid by them or by somebody who buys the lien.
I mean, they got a track record, apparently they don't pay their bills, so, because they're in bankruptcy, so 2 years from now, we could be sitting here suing them for tax money.
Wait,
Their
you see-
taxes are current right now, and all the utilities are paid as well.
See, what happened is, apparently, I don't want to say they crossed in the mail, but I guess they did. The tax lien was sold, I guess at the same time, more or less, maybe just after, that they filed bankruptcy. But I think, as I understand it, the collector didn't know that, which is understandable. She didn't know that. So she filed a lien, but you can't do that because they're in bankruptcy. So you can't, so you got to give the money back that we collected. It'll go to the trustee, I suspect, to pay those bills.
Conflicting legislation, right? So the same situation.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully I've explained that to you. If not, let me know.
Anybody else with questions on 108? No? A motion?
Make a motion, we approve 108, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. All right. 111, 2025, authorizes contracts for provision of towing services in the township. Questions, comments?
I had a conversation with a couple of the towers, and some of the concerns they have is, I think the application fee is $300 for the towing. And they said, you know, we're all taxpayers, you know, we pay our taxes, and they come out, the police officers, nobody was disrespectful to the police, but they said they could be there 5 minutes, they walk around, because they deal with each other all the time. And they kind of felt that the 300 was a little steep for the application, especially when some of them been on there for 20 years, you know? And I said, well, I'll bring it up at the meeting. you know?
Got you.
You know, because they check to make sure they're impound yards secured and locked, you know?
So is it more of a, for the, let me ask you this, Danny. In regard, I pay about, $1,100 in registration fees for my secondary business a year, right? So, and I'm not a taxpayer, a federal taxpayer, but either way, are the people that are complaining about the 300? Because I think that's,
Well, you figure
are they-
the insurance company for each truck is probably about $4,000.
Sure.
Just for the insurance.
Right.
Plus their registrations. You know, and if they're, they have to be inspected. If it's a diesel, it's got to be inspected by a licensed diesel inspection. you
Right.
know. And they just thought, if they have the appointment and they only got 2 trucks, they're right there. They walk around the yard, they just thought the 300 was a little steep, And
Right.
then, and they had other problems where, I'm not gonna mention names, but they said the one was suspended last year for no-shows. So if there's an accident, and which you can verify, if they call this one person, he doesn't show up, and you got the intersection or road closed, by the time they call the next one, it could be an hour after they called the first one, And, or they show up and they said, no, we called so-and-so. They got the vehicle, the driver. Fatalities, they tow the car, they have to tow it to the county. Next thing you know, I don't know what happens to the car, they don't get paid. They said, we need a little bit more give and take on the tows, So I don't have all the details on what their contract reads. So,
But did they bring these questions up with the chief when he was out there?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I had about,
That was going to be my question. Who does the inspections? The chief of police, right?
or one of, maybe the patrol, or what, one of the shift guys, I don't know. But they said there's, I forget how many free tows they give the township for a police car or a vehicle. But like fatalities, they said they have to take them to Mount Holly, and the cars disappear and they get nothing. And they're doing the cleanups and all that, and, So I don't know, I'm all for them, you gotta have them, but maybe we can help these guys out a little bit,
maybe.
Because I think the township sets the rates they can charge.
Well, let's take a look at, my opinion would be, I'm with you, I get it. Let's take a look and see when the rates were upped, and take a look at the ordinance on the book and E-code, and
Yeah.
and figure out and go from there,
We can still pass it with, the notes on it, and we can revise it,
Yeah, my question is there a way to get this approved, to get these guys rolling, and then we can visit the application fee?
Yeah, I don't wanna hurt
Yeah,
them
we just- we
more,
just-
it's stuff we can work out with them.
I mean, past 111, then we can look at we can look at the E-code and go from there. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve 111.
Second.
25.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up is 113, 2025, appointing ARH Engineering as special project engineers.
If I could, Council President.
Please.
On reorganization day, the Township Council did not appoint ARH as a special engineer. As I think Mr. Doyle has said, there's a couple of projects that were, getting close to the finish line on them, and ARH has been doing that work and getting paid to do that work. It would not be in our best interest financially or engineering-wise to switch horses on those, I think it's 3, those 3 projects, which hopefully are getting close to the finish line. But to allow and to authorize ARH to continue to that work, they have to be appointed as a special engineer. So-
We can't just amend the resolution to specify what jobs
sure.
they can finish up?
Sure you can.
I mean,
Just
that's,
say, just for clarity, to specify, to restrict them to the 3 that they're actively involved in now.
right, yeah.
I know of 2 off the top of my head. I know of the New Lisbon Water Project and first phase of the Greenberg
right.
Farm.
Of
KR.
Navy and then the West End project that we just talked
Oh,
about on
all right.
96. They're supposedly well vested in that one too, so.
A lot of times when you hear special engineer, you think that they're the ones going to be called upon if there's a conflict of interest or something with your primary engineer,
Right,
and that's not the case here.
That's why I want to make sure we specify in the resolution. what-
Councilman, I'm not too sure the West End would be one of those that you need to do that for.
Well, they started the project back in 2020 supposedly, so I don't know,
Well-
if the job continues, it would cost more to start over with another engineer.
No, for this reason.
Go ahead.
This is I'm talking about, for first, the $750,000 I'm talking about.
Right, oh, yeah.
That work's done.
Yep.
All right, that's done.
But the one we just approved, the change of the signer on, 97/2025,
Well, that's a new project, isn't it?
supposedly they've been involved in it since
All right.
2020.
Oh, well, then I don't know. You know more about that than I do.
Well, that's, Matt and I met with the head of the department the other
Okay.
day, and they said they've been vested in that since 2020.
All right, well then,
So, well,
if I could suggest to you, sir, if there's going to be a phase two on the $1.1 million that we almost lost, that's $350,000 that's hopefully still on the table for us.
right.
I understand that ERI is going to take that part over.
Oh,
So-
most definitely.
If your motion, perhaps you just mentioned, should be that it's, if you want to have alphabet soup, if you want ARH to do the West End Park Street Band, the grant application for the 192, that
Right.
we should, specifies that.
Okay, all right.
We haven't heard much, was it last week, where they did that 300-foot of liner in Country Lakes?
I'm not familiar with that one. I don't know.
Well, there was another sinkhole at the same place, and I know the boys from the township were out there, they didn't find any leak. But I don't know, something washed the dirt away.
I don't know.
So, and of course, we don't have anybody here that could answer the question anyway.
The only thing I can tell you, at the meeting Matt and I had, they said they're monitoring the situation. They ran the camera down there, didn't find any open areas, and they filled it with stone, and they're going to keep an eye on it.
Well, if we can get back to 113, as I understand the motion, it would be conditioned upon ARH finishing up the new Lisbon water project, phase one of the Greenberg or the K-Hub project,
Yes,
and the $192,000 grant application for West End Park.
yes. That's how I'd like to adjust it, yeah. And I'd make a motion as Jerry just explained it.
I'll second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
No. Next up, 114, 2025, voids Resolution 260, 2023, and therefore voiding the designation of redeveloper for the former Sunbank property.
Question for Jerry, I guess. Jerry, if we approve this tonight, and now with our knowing that the bank is up for sale, is there anything that we can do to go after them to stop that sale, or possibly,
No, I mean, whoever buys the property,
will have to come to us for approvals?
well, yeah, us or the planning board, there's no redevelopment agreement which would be in force.
Right.
So they'd have to do the normal thing and comply with whatever the zoning ordinances allow.
Or it's going to be another situation like the old Acme. We sold it, what we sell the Sunbank for, $250, and we're going to have to pay $800 to get it back.
Oh, yeah, I'd offer less than the $250. They've let it get in worse repair, in my opinion.
Well, the sad part is, everybody knows what they paid for it, and it's got all funny money against it. And I hate to say it, but I'll guarantee you, it'll be on the ground when,
Let's just vote on the resolution, please.
Make a motion to approve 114-2025.
I'll second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Yes. Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up is 115, 2025, rescinds Resolution 86, 2025, appointing Alimo as engineers for the Lakehurst Road Sanitary Sewer Lining Project. I marked this one down for myself, so if anybody has any questions before I do, you're more than welcome to ask them. No?
Go ahead, maybe I'll.
All right. So Jerry, and this is more, because I was talking to you about this, but this is more towards The issue, the underlying issue was, and Candace might be able to help me out with this, there wasn't enough money for the project to begin with in that line, is that correct?
There's no money.
It's in this year's budget, which
Right.
hasn't been adopted yet, so there's no funding.
So my question, Jerry, and anybody can pick this, I mean, if it was put on, the resolution was put on this year, though, so why was it put on in the first place?
I was directed to put it on.
And that,
I
and that was,
directed to put it on.
so Harry and I spoke to DPW about this as well.
Right.
It was done in error. It was a mistake. That's what it was.
I'm not laughing, because, if anybody's listening, I'm not laughing at an individual, I'm not.
And Mayor, or excuse me, Council President, what I would tell you is that we're getting three proposed, this is for the inspection fees and the
Right.
bidding and that kind of stuff. We're getting, we have, I believe, of course, you have a quote from Alimo, and we're getting one from ERI.
Right.
And you have a quote from ARH also. So before we adopt any resolution to appoint any engineer, you've got to pass the capital budget and then figure out what the proposals are from those engineers.
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
What was it, last year when Andy Kim promised us the money? And Mr. H spiked the football? Oh, Andy Kim got us the money, and we never got it. That was from, I think, the Burger King to Country Lakes. You know, it was all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Danny, I do.
Okay.
I know. You know, it's,
Yeah, I thought we got some sort of a grant for part of that last year, but I guess I'm wrong.
I mean, regardless, at the end of the day, hopefully this year, the sewer lining gets done, because the people on Lakehurst Road that have been coming in complaining about this for the past 3 years that I've been on council, and probably even before that, I mean, we got to get this fixed.
I
Money in repairs and it would replace the pump.
I agree 100%. And
So-
I guess maybe, you know, again, thanks Candace for being here.
Yeah.
Were there any monies approved last year for this project? Was there any grants approved when Daniel was still here?
So we were awarded a letter. We spoke with our grant writer. We were told that we were getting it in, I believe, March or April of this year.
Right.
When we spoke to the grant writer, she let us know that it's at this point that we put in an application, but it could be in another 18 months until we actually get the money. So we anticipate it within the next 18 months, but in the meantime, we have to upfront the money.
So we'd have to upfront it, okay. Thank you very much, Candace.
Thank you, Candace.
But Candace, as I understand it, there's no grant in writing, so to speak, yet, right?
Correct.
I don't believe so.
Smoke and mirrors.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve 1/15/2025.
Second.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, next up on the agenda is 1/16/2025, authorizes an extension of an award of contract to Affordable Landscape Management LLC for grass cutting for the Department of Recreation and Senior Services. I really don't have a question on this one. I think they do a great job. Does anybody have a question or concern on 1/16? Want to
No.
talk about anything?
No, looking at the numbers, it's just common sense. Like Harry had said before, we can't hire one single grass cutter for the year to do all this work, maintain the mowers, pay the medical benefits and everything for them to do what Affordable does for us. And again, they do a fantastic job.
Put your mic on.
I'll make a motion to pass 1/16/2025.
I'll second it.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. 1/17/2025, accepting of funds from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety in the amount of $3,587.60 for FY 2024 state body armor replacement. Questions, comments, concerns for the body armor?
Make
Got
a
it.
motion, we approve 1/17/2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. All right, and then we need to table 118, 2025, rejecting all bids for the Safe Routes to School, Bazansky Emmons Multi-Model Improvements Project Phase 1. So we need a motion to table, it sounds like, from our solicitor. And
Make a motion to table 118, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay, and then we have two add-ons for council this evening. First one is Township of Pemberton Resolution would be number 119, 2025, approving Fourth Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement with New Horizon Properties LLC of Englishtown, New Jersey, for Block 775, lots 18 and 19. Everybody has a copy of this. I know it's dropped on us, but looks like Jerry was working on some things, and we'll take questions, comments from council at this time.
Nope.
For clarity for the public, this is the old Acme, correct?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, we're just extending their time frame since the planning board's a little behind on their paperwork.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we table it.
Yeah.
Don't they need to make a motion to add it to the agenda?
Yeah, we need a motion to add it to the agenda, then we can,
Okay, I amend my motion, I make a motion, we add it to the agenda.
okay.
Second.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay.
What this
Yeah,
one
give
is
us back.
for. The contract we have with New Horizons, who's the redeveloper of the Browns Mill Shopping Center, calls for the closing to take place after they get all of their approvals, and 45 days after they get all their approvals, because anyone has a right to sue within 45 days after the approvals are finalized. So it's, like an estoppel period. New Horizons went to the planning board in December and got their approvals. But as is normal, the planning board or the zoning board, when they grant an approval, they have to type up what was approved. I mean, you have a verbal approval in December, but then thereafter, the resolution has to be physically typed up to explain what was asked, what was done, the exhibits, comments, blah, blah, blah. And then that resolution is what we call memorialized. Only after that happens is it finally approved, and then the 45 days start. The application was approved at a public hearing in December. The planning board planning board attorney has not yet prepared the resolution. So it can't be memorialized yet. That is the only thing holding up, I think, that I'm aware of, holding up the approval granted by the planning board. And I don't think you can blame that on New Horizons. They were there in December, they got the approvals, they're waiting for the resolution to be typed up, and it's not typed up yet by someone on behalf of the township. That's the only reason to extend this for 90 days through the end of June. If you don't extend it, then potentially the contract could be terminated. And that wouldn't be good for us, since we have a contract that they're going to pay us $2.7 million. And we've already floated a bond to the point of $2.5 million. So the money we get from them is going to pay off the bond. If we don't get the money from them, we still have a bond. So I would strongly suggest that you give them 3 months and have the planning board attorney have the resolution typed and approved, and then hopefully we'll be ready to close title.
My comment, thank you, Mr. Dasty. My comment, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Ro, is there, do we have an idea of when that's going to be kind of galvanized by the planning board solicitor?
So, Mr. Oh, my God. Mr. Sitzler has promised us that he will have it to us by the end of the week, and it will be on Monday's agenda for the planning board. But as
Okay.
Mr. Dusty said, from that point forward, there's a 45-day appeal period.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 1/19/2025.
I'll second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay, second one here, need a motion to introduce Township of Pemberton Resolution number would be 1/20/2025, appointing an administrative agent to the Affordable Housing Program and administrative liaison to the Affordable Housing Program. Need a motion to,
Make a motion to introduce 1/20/2025.
Second.
Motion to add.
motion to add,
To add,
sorry.
sorry.
Add,
Thank you,
introduce.
Introduction is an ordinance. I'm sorry, was the second Mr.
Yes,
Doyle?
ma'am, it was me.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Just for clarity, I'll read a couple of the whereases here. The Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, has been advised of the need to appoint an administrator and municipal liaison to the Township Affordable Housing Program. And whereas the township currently has an excess of $1.4 million in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to be utilized to provide services to the township residents who qualify under the rehabilitation program, and whereas the township has been advised and recommended that it needs to appoint an administrator and a municipal liaison to the Affordable Housing Program in order to ensure that the funds are properly applied for, granted, overseen, et cetera. So I'll kind of cut it off there. I can cut it off there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, right, okay, good. Yeah, that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of it. So, basically, it's, allowing for, employees to be appointed to be a liaison for this program and for these funds in the township. So we can start getting the ball rolling on the meetings that we need to do and explain the program to everybody and get some, $1.4 million of your hard-earned tax money back to you.
Do we want to let them know who the two are going to be?
Are we allowed to?
Oh, sure.
I mean, I don't
Sure.
want to be, Rice, anybody?
Yeah, no.
Okay, all right. So this resolution would basically appoint Ms. Everett from the Community Development Department, right?
Yeah.
And Ms. Flaherty as the municipal liaison to the Affordable Housing Program, and allow them to take care of what we need to take care of on a daily basis.
I do have a question real quick for Ro.
Sure.
Ro, this is all part of the process of bringing the program in-house, right? Yes. Great, thank you.
Do we have resumes on these two
I
girls?
think we do need resumes, right, Mr. Dewey? It's.
I make a motion, we approve 2025.
Second that.
All right.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up on the agenda is number 10, approval of by council required for payment of vouchers on bill list dated 3/13/2025.
Josh, could we back up a little bit?
Sure.
I made a mistake when I gave you all those numbers,
Okay.
and I got to apologize to Matt. The one that, I think it's, 103/2025. Matt, is that the one that we talked about, was it like $50,000 grant or something, or,
No, that was
That
the
was the
tag for
Yeah, that was the
tag.
opioid remediation.
yeah, and we talked about it, and I realized I made a mistake. Isn't that the one where we said, could we check and take some of that money and get a DARE car so they could go around to the schools?
Okay.
Are we speaking of 109?
109 was.
109.
I can address that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's, I'm sorry. But we were kicking around because, we get this money and we don't know how they spend it.
Right.
And we were thinking, well, if we, and it was Matt's suggestion, and I marked it wrong, it's my fault, But we were thinking, we're not gonna spend the whole thing, you get
Right.
a DARE car going so they can go around to the schools and playgrounds and talk to these kids.
Well, I mean, we could certainly I mean, even though we voted on it, we could certainly discuss it.
I can give you a little more information because
Harry, go.
Liaison.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in the past, they've bought for the police department AED defibrillators to go in all the police cars. They buy Narcan. There is no more DARE program. It's a new acronym. I think it's LEADS program
Yeah,
now.
LEAD.
But this year, the police are looking for, from what I was told, to buy possibly a trailer or possibly a car to transport all their equipment around to the different events and stuff. So they are looking, the police department does get most of that money from that opioid program, but it just gets administered through the TAG program, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt, did you want to comment on any of that, or? Okay.
It was, because Harry and I discussed it a little bit a couple days ago, so he got all the answers from Jen Deeds, so we're good.
Yeah, all right.
I thought that was the one, when you said, no, and I thought I messed up, so.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry. I mean, I'll just run off of what Harry, I spoke to Chief Glass, or the Chief of Police, sorry, this week. Not going to be derogatory in any way. But, we did talk. He sent me an email back. They would potentially be looking at a truck for the LEAD program, and I think that's a really good way to go about things as opposed to a trailer, but we'll still wait to hear back from the Chief of Police.
Yeah, they're
see what's-
exploring both options, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted, I knew we were kicking around, so I just wanted to make sure I got out there.
Cool.
Might be able to get him a Corvette.
Appreciate the clarification, Danny.
Not going there. All right, so we're back to number 10 here, gentlemen. Approval by council required for payment of vouchers on bill list dated 3/13/2025. Open for questions, comments, or concerns. Mr. Bianchini.
I have one question. There were a number of ARH bills that, as I said at the last meeting, I would recommend we hold off on paying those until we are 100% certain we've received everything that they owe us.
Jerry, how we come along with that?
No, I'm sorry, thanks. I can't answer that.
I know
don't
you were going to talk to them about,
We've been talking to them. Are we
I
close?
know some of the department heads say they still need some paperwork and stuff,
Ro?
So we're very close, but we still haven't received everything.
The road department said the same thing the other day. They still were missing some stuff, yeah. I guess you got to crack the whip on them some more, Jerry. Yeah.
So a motion to approve all, but make it a motion to approve all.
Was there any other
Yeah, I
questions?
got a couple. Naturally, I had the ARH bills. There's quite a bit of money there. Unfortunately, I see the poor O'Briens won the Lime bid again. I think we spent $80 with O'Brien's in the hardware store, but we spent about over probably $2,000 between Lowe's and Home Depot. It looks like Buildings and Grounds is the biggest offender. There's bills on there for a gallon of paint, a couple switches and things like that could have been purchased in Brown's Mills instead of going all the way to Mount Holly to buy a gallon of paint. I sound like a broken record with the O'Briens, but it's a great family, it's a great business, and they deserve business from the township. It's stupid to go to Lowe's to get a gallon of paint when you can get it right in Brown's Mills. They mix their own paint, they got quality paint. You gotta increase the efficiency in this town, I've seen bills where they go to Lowe's to buy a 2x6. It doesn't make any sense to me. There was another thing that was on last month's, 811 markouts. I've never paid for a markout in my life. You call 811, you give them the address, closest intersection, takes them 3 days because they got to depend on the water department to mark the lines, the sewer, and all this, and we're paying for markouts. I mean, there's nobody here that can answer it, but it's usually every month. I thought I saw one on here this month, or this billing. I'd like an answer why we pay for 911s. I don't know if, you know? But that's something I think. Yeah, but see, I'm a contractor, and I call them all the time.
Then they have to call everybody else.
I understand that.
But it's a
But
free
it's a
service, we're
free
getting
service.
charged for it.
Nobody gets charged for markouts. So I don't know, I didn't know if they were using an agency, you know, where if they had a markout and they're doing all the leg and paperwork. You know, but it's pretty simple to dial 811, you give them the address, nearest cross street, and they take care of it. I'm just, you know, looking out to save some money. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Make a motion, we approve the bill list,
Without ARH?
with the exception of the ARH bills.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay, next up on the agenda, we're out to solicitor's report.
I think you heard enough from me, but I want to report to you that, if you recall last meeting, we had a question from the prior engineer about the UEZ maps. And we wanted them to be seeable, so to speak, and it's done. We have them now, right, bro? Yeah. So we have those UEZ maps that I guess eventually get on the website or whatever, indicating with better specificity where the UEZ lot and blocks are.
You know, is there, Ro, is there, in regards to that UEZ map, is there a way to put it onto the GIS maps that's in the computer system, or no, like an overlay?
Absolutely. So I was just writing myself a note to have it put on the website.
Perfect. All right, excellent. Next up is the mayor's and business administrator's report. No? No? Going once, going twice, okay.
Best report we've gotten.
Council members, I know. We'll start with Mr. Bianchini tonight. We'll go left to right.
Thank you. First off, Ro, Candace, thank you for being here. It was very helpful. If we had more presence like this on a more frequent basis, I think it would, I know we'd appreciate it, I know the residents would appreciate it, but thank you for being here. That's really all I got. I want to thank you all the residents for coming out tonight, and, you know, it's actually, it's kind of an early one for once, so that's a good thing. But thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
As I had said before, the one thing that we've been pushing for, we've been getting pushed back on, has been relieved. It looks like tonight you can't get better accuracy and more answers, and they actually coming right from the department heads who are actually dealing with the questions that you have. I mean, just imagine if we were able to do this with Public Works, the police department, not so much maybe the police chief, but just one of them. I'm sure they'd be happy to come in here and talk to the public. It's what's important. You're getting direct answers from the individuals who are handling this for you, and not a regurgitated response a couple days or even a couple hours later after phone calls are made. And the portions of the response from these individuals that administration wants you to receive is what you get. With them, it's 100%. It's accurate, it's on time, and it's right to you at the time you ask the question. And also, I want to reiterate tonight, the information that was given to you from Mr. Dasty was, it's difficult. It's a big decision we have to make. You know, 50,000, it's a big number. And on the other hand, what could it be if it's not that? You know, so it's a huge decision. And it's not one we're going to take lightly. We're going to talk about it for weeks. But I really appreciate the thoroughness and the completeness of Mr. Dasty in his explanation. I mean, there was a lot of people here, and I don't think there's one person walking away wondering exactly where the township stands with this. I think it was very clear, and I do appreciate his expertise. And everyone have a safe drive home.
Thank everybody for coming out. Just a few notes. I tried to update what was going on with the county with the Pemberton Browns Mill Road, the metal plate that's in the road, and Junction Road where there's a repair that needs to be done. The engineers didn't get back to me today.
Harry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yep.
I apologize, I didn't see you for this beforehand. I got a phone call. The gentleman was supposed to call you back, Mr. Janis.
Oh, yes, okay,
He reached out to me because he had left his office and your phone number was in his office.
okay.
The station, our bump down here.
Yep.
He advised me to pass it over to you, that it is in the engineering stage, so we all know what that means.
Yeah, no
And
time,
he-
no time frame.
He hopes to, it's high on their list, and he hopes to be on it this summer.
Oh, okay, all right, well, there's an update on that. I also reached out to the engineers about Route 70 and Route 530. They, of course, didn't get back to me. I've tried calling them twice in the last 2 weeks to see what's going on out there. I know the police department interviewed some crossing guards this week for Weymouth Road and Rancocas Lane. I don't know if they got anybody or not, but hopefully that will be taken care of shortly. And as I talked about earlier tonight, when it was brought up, we do have a, leash law ordinance. We do have a, animals at large ordinance, and our animal control people are out there trying to do their due diligence. They're being nice, giving people warnings at first, because again, it is getting nicer weather and there's going to be more interaction between animals and people. We want everybody to get along out there. And we do have one dog park down at Country Lakes Firehouse. If anybody is interested, take your dogs out there. And I'm just going to, since the mayor isn't here, we approved the extension with New Horizon tonight, and hopefully, he'll get time to think about, giving Mr. Elliott a shot at that building that he's been wanting, and we think he's the only guy making an offer on the place, so why wouldn't you take his offer? It just doesn't make sense to me. He's willing to put his time and money into it, invest into it, and fix it up, and start paying taxes on it for the first time in 80 years. Why he won't do it, it's a big secret, but, hopefully something will happen, enjoy the rest of your night, thanks.
Again, I'd like to thank the girls for coming tonight, helping us. It was a big help. Congratulations on your new position, you and Trish. What I would like to bring up, I know it's probably old news, but last week we lost a former councilman, Mr. Tony Subpoena. And he was a Democrat, but he was a very, very good guy. And he was close to my family. And he was 98 years old. He just seized up, wore out. But he did a lot for this town. Was back in them days, all the council people would be appointed like road commissioner, building and grounds, instead of the mess we have now. And Tony would, this is in the 70s, he was doing the oil and stone chip roads, because most of the roads were gravel. And he's the one that got us some blacktop roads. And he owned a Sunset. It was a bar and restaurant, and he put a gigantic addition on it, and he brought in some of the biggest bands around. Like every Friday and Saturday, there was a major band in this town. And the Sunset was right across, like, it used to be Beneficial Bank, and it had, each corner had a bar, big stage, all the lights, and there'd be so many people that they would fill the Acme parking lot across the street. And that, big bands. And he was really an asset to our town, and, I know I'm going to miss him. He was just
Mrs.
a
Dewey,
great
do you
guy.
have any pictures of him dancing to these bands?
Oh,
You want to share with us?
Yeah. And other than that, thank you very much for supporting us. And hopefully we'll get the train back on its wheels here. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that leaves me. So here's what I'm gonna say tonight. I appreciate everybody coming out. I too appreciate our community development director and our CFO coming in and assisting us with our meeting this evening. It is very refreshing to actually get a chance to see you face to face and get real answers. To the community, here's what I'll say, and very empathetically as well. Michelle, I'm sorry for lashing out at you, okay? That's something you won't hear from Mr. Gardner when he was here, but that is what it is. I can admit but here's what I would like to say to everybody in the community, is we got to have some kind of decorum in this room, right? As opposed to, and what I really dislike, and I'll say dislike because I don't want to say, what I really dislike is when we come in this room as community members and neighbors and decide to turn around to each other and lash out at each other for reasons that baffle my mind. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's granted that opinion. That is a God-given right. So the next time that a community member decides to turn around and attack somebody in the audience, why don't you just take a moment and shake their hand as opposed to yell at them or get mad at what they have to say. It goes a lot further. I read a book when I was going through. I've been doing business for 30 years now almost. I can't even imagine I'm saying 30 years, but you know, sometimes it's okay to be wrong and let the other person be right. And that's not saying that their opinion's right, or you want to sit there and say, hey, you know what, I'm wrong, you're right, whatever you want to do, but let the other person be right for a minute and grant them the decency, because we're all neighbors. We all live in Pemberton Township, no matter what part of the town that you live in. And I would just, you know, if I could have everybody in the township over to my yard in the back and have a picnic or do something, I'd love to do that. You know, but I will see everybody at the water carnival this year and enjoy everybody's company there. And like Mr. Dewey said, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care if we disagree on the Sun Bank. I don't care if we disagree on dogs, cats, mice, squirrels, raccoons, possums, deer, anything, right? I just want to be a neighbor. And I would just hope that everybody in the community would like to be a good neighbor. I mean, we got too much hate in the world to sit there and bicker amongst ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, that comment in the back wasn't intended to be snide, but it was just intended to be heard. That's all I got for this evening. I hope people that are here still take what I have to say to heart and understand that I'm being honest and true, and that's all I could ever ask for. This job is very difficult to keep decorum in this room on a nightly basis. I mean, when me and Danny started coming here, there was 3 people in the audience. We got 36 people online the last time I checked, and we had almost a full room here tonight. Congratulations, Pemberton Township. Take that as a win, and I'll see everybody in town. Thank you. Have a good night, and I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Can I just
adjourn.
add one thing?
Sure, Danny, go ahead.
September 3rd is going to be the second annual Ag Day. September 13th? 13th. Yeah, what did I say?
Third.
Oh, okay, but it'll be the 13th at the K&P Farm on Pemberton, Vincenttown Road. And here's a little challenge. I'm not going to go into details, but a couple of us are going to be putting a float in the water carnival. And we would like to see some more floats so we can keep this baby going. So there's the challenge for the town. So if they watch the YouTube, maybe we'll get some more, okay? Have a great night.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Have a good night.